2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor at 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a Tuesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course, streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. That's 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, X, at Zach Gelb. That is ZACHGELB. We got a whole lot to do today. We are rocking and rolling all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. B-Doc, Weapon X, Brian Dawkins, the Pro Football Hall of Famer, is going to join us 60 minutes from now. And then at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific time from the SMU football team, linebacker Kobe Wilson will join us as the Mustangs are going into enemy territory. They're going into Big Bad Happy Valley, and they will do battle with the Penn State Nittany Lions coming up on Saturday. So a whole lot to do today. We'll start the show with the Atlanta Falcons. And I'm going to say something, and it's going to be said in jest. There is sarcasm on this because I can already hear some dope calling us up and going, you'd rather lose the football game that would pretty much eliminate you from the playoffs? I'm not saying that, but I will also say, if you look at the way that the Falcons broke their 4-game losing streak last night, I think you'd rather lose the game, if I'm just being honest. That was such an underwhelming performance up against the Las Vegas Raiders, where they won the game 15-9. And I think we got answers last night that Kirk Cousins shouldn't be the starting quarterback anymore in Atlanta. And also, I don't feel really any amount of confidence that the Falcons, even though they've already defeated the Bucs twice, are going to find a way to be in the postseason over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when it comes to winning the NFC South. That was terrible. Stu, those are your Raiders. And you're right. Did you come up with that on your own, the elegant tank? Was that a you thing, or did you steal that from someone?
No, that was not a me. That's a podcast I listened to.
Oh, so that's who you tagged me in last night?
Yes, Ted and Win, yeah.
That is an elegant tank job.
Close game.
And let me be honest, you were probably a little bit nervous, even though it was Desmond Ridder. When he gets on the field at the end of the game and it's 15-9, was there a part of you for even a little teeny second, a little slight second that said, uh-oh, they're going to go put this ball in the end zone?
Yes, the first Hail Mary attempt that looked like someone was going to catch it, I'm like, oh, no. The Raiders are going to somehow catch this and win this game.
And the second one where it was Jesse Bates who had the interception?
I saw that it looked like a Falcon had grabbed it, so I wasn't as concerned, but it was really the first one where I was like, oh, geez, here we go.
I thought there was going to be a fortuitous bounce that would have been unfortuitous for you, but I guess the Raiders would take a victory any way they could get it, even though Antonio Pierce knows what they're trying to do right now. So we'll get to the future of the Raiders in just a second. But I think the Falcons are a hotter topic today for a multitude of reasons. Let's start off with Raheem Morris, who I'll just say it. He should not be coaching the Atlanta Falcons. Bill Belichick should be the coach of the Atlanta Falcons. More on that in just a second. But here is the coach of the Atlanta Falcons and Raheem Morris on the play of his quarterback. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback in Kirk Cousins.
He's got to play better. And, obviously you got to go back, you got to be able to look at everything. But, he wants to play better. He's got to play better. We got to find a way to get him to play better. And obviously we'll get to work tomorrow, and that's a part of our process, right? You go, you look at the tape, you review it with the people that needs to be reviewed with. We get all the coordinators in the room. We'll talk with everybody. And we got to play better at the quarterback position.
1 touchdown to 9 interceptions in the last 5 games for Kirk Cousins. No touchdowns and a pickup against the Saints. No touchdowns and a pickup against Denver. No touchdowns and 4 interceptions up against the LA Chargers. You had no touchdowns, 2 interceptions up against the Minnesota Vikings. And then last night, 1 touchdown, 1 interception up against the Las Vegas Raiders. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions. No crap, your quarterback has to play better, coach. Here is Raheem Morris. With that being said, could we maybe see Kirk Cousins get benched? And I don't know. You drafted a quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., 8th overall. Could we see Michael Penix Jr. be the starting quarterback against the Giants on Sunday?
Are you prepared to replace him with Michael Penix?
We got everybody on our roster for a reason, right? We got so much to get better at, and those things will always be discussed. That's just the nature of the beast in football. It's just so heavily talked about at the quarterback position because there's only one guy out there. So for us, man, our mentality is to find a way to win the next game. And that's just the mentality that we're going to have.
That sounds like the quarterback's about to get benched. I know it's right in the immediate aftermath of a game, but he said a lot there that he also didn't say. The obvious that, yes, Kirk is going to be starting next week. That left it open for great interpretation. That left it very ambiguous when it comes to who's going to be starting for the Falcons on Sunday up against the Giants. I will circle back to that in just a second because I will tell you what the Atlanta Falcons should do and what they need to do if they want to try to make the playoffs. But first, let's hear from Kirk Cousins on Raheem Morris saying he needs to play better.
I think I do need to play better. I don't think that's a mystery. I think the last few weeks I would say, I need to play better. And so, that's Raheem says it, but it's stating the obvious. And, every week you kind of go through your process and you plan to go out there and play the very best you can. And so this week will be no different.
Kirk Cousins is a good dude. He is. Kirk Cousins, good dude. But he is a 36-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury, will be 37 in August. The Falcons threw him a bag, and this isn't just shaking off some rust. This isn't just, early season struggles. It's actually quite the opposite. Because earlier on in the season, there was a game up against Tampa Bay where Kirk Cousins threw for 509 yards in a victory in overtime, 4 touchdowns and an interception. Kirk Cousins had that late drive in Philadelphia up against the Eagles in week 2 to win. So this isn't early rust. And this isn't, Kirk isn't healthy right now. This is that Kirk has hit a wall in his career, and not everyone plays until they're 40-something years old at a really high level. Kirk Cousins is not a quarterback that I would want starting for my football team anymore. And it has nothing to do with him as a person or him as a leader. He's a good person. He's a good leader. On the field, though, he's just not the same Kirk Cousins anymore. And Kirk Cousins at his best was what? Top 9, top 10, right, quarterback in this league. Like a very good quarterback, an efficient quarterback, but not someone that you ever looked at and said, hey, I could go win a Super Bowl with that guy. But that's not the goal for the Falcons this year. The goal for the Falcons was to win this division. And last year, it was the Saints who were expected to win that division. Derek Carr wasn't good enough. This year, Kirk Cousins was expected to win this division. Kirk Cousins wasn't good enough. So if the Atlanta Falcons want to try to salvage this season, if the Atlanta Falcons have a head coach in Raheem Morris that actually has some cojones, they would sit down Kirk Cousins. It's a 4-year contract. It's $180 million. But that contract basically went right out the window and had an expiration date on it before 4 years did come and go, when immediately after you sign him, you end up drafting his replacement in Michael Penix Jr., who is an older NFL-ready quarterback. The last 5 weeks have been abysmal. We've seen Kirk Cousins regress from where he was at the start of the season to where he is now. And Kirk Cousins is not good enough right now in the year of 2024 to give the Atlanta Falcons a playoff game come early January of 2025. And Raheem Morris, this is on you. You make the decision. And some people will say, is Michael Penix ready? Is Michael Penix great? That I don't know if he's great. But you can't tell me he's not ready, because going into the draft, everyone said he is maybe the most NFL-ready quarterback in this draft. And if he's not one, then he would be two. So rip off the Band-Aid. Because at the end of the year, Kirk Cousins may not want to be there anymore, or the Falcons, right, they'd be crazy if they want to go do this another year, even though they have 3 years left of the contract. There is no negative in playing Michael Penix Jr. on Sunday up against the New York Giants. Zero. And I'll tell you who would sit down Kirk Cousins. The coach that would sit down Kirk Cousins is Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, by the way, who should be the head football coach of the Atlanta Falcons. And whether it was Robert Kraft getting in the ear of Arthur Blank, or McKay getting in the ear of Arthur Blank, or Terry Fontenot getting in the ear of Arthur Blank initially had the right thought. It was to hire a 6-time Super Bowl champion. It was to hire Bill Belichick. But he was talked out of it. And look what you have now. You had to settle for Raheem Morris. You have Kirk Cousins in there with Michael Penix behind him. Kirk Cousins the last 5 weeks, 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions, and you're going to trot him back out there on Sunday? I'm at a point where I want to give the Falcons the benefit of the doubt, because it does seem like Raheem Morris sounded like he was going to make this move after the game last night, right, on Monday Night Football. He left it very open. He criticized the quarterback. He didn't say that Kirk was definitely going to start. Everything Raheem Morris said right there sounds like they're going to bench Kirk Cousins this week, and they're going to go to Michael Penix Jr. for Sunday. But I pause, and I have great skepticism, even though it seems like that's what they're going to do, because I remind myself, this is the Atlanta Falcons. And incompetent organizations make incompetent decisions. Incompetent decision number 1, hiring Raheem Morris over Bill Belichick. And incompetent decision number 2 would be keeping Kirk Cousins as your guy when you already drafted his replacement 8th overall. You know Kirk Cousins isn't a great quarterback right now in the NFL, and he's done jack the last 5 weeks. Not only jack, he has been well below par. He's been a bad, a brutal, a terrible quarterback the last 5 weeks. So do you want to salvage your season? Do you want to try to have one last-ditch effort to save your season? Or are you going to keep on doing the same thing? Because it is insanity to do the same thing over and over and over and over again and expect something to change. We're talking about the lowly Raiders they were playing. Whoopee, he finally got a touchdown pass in his last 5 games. That was a win. but it felt like a loss. And it kind of said last night, hey, even though the Falcons beat the Buccaneers twice, why should I have any belief if they stick with Kirk Cousins that they're going to end up finding a way to finish the same record or better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who play with moxie, who play with guts, who overachieve? And I have a lot more confidence right now, easily, 7 days a week and twice on Sundays with Baker Mayfield than I do right now with Kirk Cousins. You need something to ignite change. And Kirk Cousins isn't going to find a way to get that offense to where they need to go in the final 3 weeks of the season. I'm not saying Michael Penix definitely will, but it can't get any worse. There is zero risk here. And he's going to be your franchise quarterback of the future, or you hope. If you don't go to him now, then what's the point of drafting him 8th overall? What's the point of even having him on your roster? Because if he can't do enough to show that he's the guy right now, when Kirk Cousins is playing like he's a bottom 5 quarterback in the league, if you can't do it now, then when? So I understand you made a commitment to Kirk. I understand you owe Kirk Cousins a lot of money. But how do you look the other 52 guys in the eyes in the locker room and say, yeah, the best course of action, Raheem Morris, is to put Kirk Cousins back on the field? And you know who would make that decision? Bill Belichick. He would do it. Bill Belichick. Drew Bledsoe was the highest paid quarterback in the league. And some no-name guy named Tom Brady had a little success, and he goes, hey, we're not going to go back to Drew. Drew, you're healthy. Doesn't matter. We're sitting you down. We're not playing you. And then even in that AFC Championship game up against the Steelers, where Bledsoe came off the bench because Brady had, the bum ankle and threw a touchdown pass? The next week for the Super Bowl, when they could have easily gone back to Drew, he said, nope, Tom is healthy enough. We're playing Tom. That was with an unknown guy in Tom Brady. Michael Penix Jr. was an accomplished quarterback in college. Michael Penix Jr. finished second in the Heisman last year. Michael Penix Jr. was playing in a national championship game last year, even though he lost. So, Falcons, what are you going to do? I can't say I have any confidence they're going to do the right thing, because this organization, you give them the answers to the test. You feed them the answers to the test, and they still take the test and they fail the test. It's amazing. And this is just a gross, and I mean a gross incompetence by this organization. Think about how backwards they are. The owner wanted to hire Bill. No, I let outside voices internally impact that decision. Mistake number one. All right, you hire Raheem Morris, fine hire. Then you sign Kirk Cousins, and then shortly after that, you go draft Michael Penix Jr. when you just gave the quarterback a lucrative contract for 4 years? This is a backwards organization. This is an organization that they just spin around and around and around and around and around. Even when they have good teams, they find a way to embarrass themselves. But the bar is not high this year. It was to win this lowly division. You have one other team that you beat twice that's competition, and you still may not. You still may not win the division. You still may not go to the postseason. And I can guarantee you this. Belichick would have this team winning the NFC South this year. And it's really a shame that Arthur Blank ended up being a coward in that decision-making process. It's a shame. A real shame. Because now we have Bill Belichick getting transfers to UNC that nobody cares about. It's just sad. We could have had the greatest NFL head coach of all time back in the NFL this season with Atlanta. But Arthur Blank was basically a putty cat in the decision-making. That's what he was. And you kind of made your bed, now you're lying in it. Where does anyone believe Raheem Morris is the right guy for the job? No. And if he really doesn't sit down Kirk Cousins this week, how can a leader of men look his guys in the face in the locker room and say, Kirk started and that's the best chance that we have to win? Because play me that Raheem Morris cut once again. On Raheem Morris saying, could they start Michael Penix Jr. this week? Play me that cut one more time, Stu.
Are you prepared to replace him with Michael Penix?
You know, we got everybody on our roster for a reason, right? We got so much to get better at, and those things will always be discussed. That's just the nature of the beast in football. It's just so heavily talked about it at the quarterback position because there's only one guy out there. You know, so for us, man, our mentality is to find a way to win the next game. That's just the mentality that we're going to have.
So, Stu, I'll ask you this simple question. Up against the Giants, who suck, all right? the Giants are dreadful. The Giants are basically like the Raiders, where they're trying to lose games because they want either Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. If you're doing what's in the best interest to try to find the best way possible to win a game, after just seeing Kirk Cousins be absolutely pathetic, where the Falcons are celebrating that he threw a touchdown pass, that's how bad it's been. You just saw them play up against your Raiders. Who gives Atlanta a better chance to try to put them in the best chance to win? Is it this 5 games crappy version of Kirk Cousins, or is it the unknown of Michael Penix Jr.?
I think it's definitely Michael Penix Jr. at this point. He just looks like Cousins. Just looks like a statue back there.
He's washed.
It's just not the same guy that he was 2 or 3 years ago. At this point, you have almost nothing to lose to go to Penix.
Do you believe that Raheem Morris is going to do it?
I don't.
You don't?
I think he'll stick with Cousins. Despite what he said, I still think they'll stick with Cousins.
Because I heard that last night and my immediate thought was, Kirk's going to get benched. And I go, about time. But then I sit here and I have it digest. And I think about it a little bit and I go, this organization messes everything up. The Falcons right now, they can mess up a 2-car funeral procession. Seriously. That's how bad this organization is right now. And it's not as if the bar's set really high where it's, the Falcons could win a Super Bowl this year. It was win the NFC South, where the Panthers had no chance of doing so. The Saints had no chance of doing so. And you're competing against one team in Tampa Bay, who's just a fine team, solid team. And a team that you beat twice, you can't beat them out to win the division. It's just a bad job by the Falcons. But I can't say I'm surprised. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Should the Atlanta Falcons sit down Kirk Cousins? Should they go to Michael Penix Jr.? And should Bill Belichick be coaching this team? Yes, yes, yes. That's what I say. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. What say you? We'll take a break. When we come on back, I have a thought about the future of the Bears and a little bit on the future of Stu's Vegas Raiders.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. Stu, I'm just going to ask you for a quick answer. So, Raiders-Falcons, I know we opened up the show talking about the incompetence of Kirk Cousins last night. You walk away from that game, just what is, in a few words, the immediate thought that you had? It could be about anything in regards to how you saw the Falcons and Raiders play on out.
Raiders have a long way to go.
Okay. So that your thought was Raiders.
Yes, but I'm biased, obviously.
Yes, clearly. My thought was you got to sit Kirk Cousins and play Michael Penix. Bears-Vikings. Which team did you gravitate to more after that game in terms of having an opinion on if you had to give like a little short summary about what you thought?
I'm worried that the Bears are going to ruin Caleb Williams.
Okay, which is a fair thought. I look at that game, and I saw Caleb Williams, right? He's on the sideline. He looked like there was no place he'd rather be. He looked so upset. You would think something horrible happened in his life, and now he has to sit there and just take the punishment and the abuse right in front of everyone watching. I also walked away from that game last night when you look 30-12, the Vikings beating the Bears. And, right, you look at a score 30-12, you think that was a beatdown. I was very unimpressed by the Vikings last night, where I look at Minnesota and I go, they're clearly good, right? They're 12-2 right now. They're a good football team. But I saw Sam Darnold last night, and Sam Darnold, it's up against the Bears too. I tried to envision myself seeing Sam Darnold having multiple games in the postseason. Not one, because I know I could say that, and then some Tom, Dick, or Harry, some jackass will be like, oh, see, Gelb, Sam Darnold, you said he couldn't make a big throw. Oh, he did so up against, whoever in the first round. Look at that. They could win a playoff game. But can I envision myself seeing Sammy slinging Darnold, slinging that ball around in a close game and then repeating it the following week? Because the playoff games are usually close. They're usually tight and usually need a big moment. Can I see Sam Darnold the consecutive weeks in the playoffs getting the job done? I don't think so. And I'll also say this about the Vikings. There's not a lot of teams where the quarterback isn't the most valuable player. Like I look in Pittsburgh, TJ Watt is the most valuable player for the Steelers. For Minnesota, I know he only had 7 catches last night, but you see when that offense has success, it's either through Justin Jefferson, who, by the way, Jay Jettas, you know I love you. But you got to catch that second touchdown last night. He could have had 2 touchdowns before the end of the first half, and he just dropped the ball, and it was stunning because you never see a player like Justin Jefferson drop the ball right there. But Justin Jefferson is really their offense because Justin Jefferson opens up things for TJ Hawkinson, opens up the field for Jordan Addison, opens up the field for Aaron Jones because there's such an attention and awareness, even when he doesn't have the greatest statistical game, what's going on with Justin Jefferson. So I walk away from both those games last night. Raiders, they're going to be getting a quarterback soon. And I have a question about the future of Antonio Pierce I'll just get to in a second. The Falcons, they need to change quarterbacks. The Vikings, I don't believe in them being a serious player in multiple weeks in the postseason. And the Chicago Bears, I'm with you, Stu. Geez, they better get this hire right because if they don't, you're going to run the risk of ruining Caleb Williams. So I'll give you a thought about the future of the Raiders and the Bears in just a second. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Let me go to Jordan in Pittsburgh. First up on the show, though. He wants to talk a little Bill Belichick and the Falcons. Jordan, what's shaking?
Hey, Zach.
Yeah, what do you got?
What do you think What do you think Belichick would have done different if he was head coach?
With the Falcons?
Yeah.
He would have already sacked Kirk Cousins. You want to keep laughing? That was good. That was a weird laugh by Jordan. Now, that was a teen, right? Or do you think that was someone disguising their voice? It kind of sounded a little bit like Sour Shoes, if I'm not going to lie. So do you think that was actually a teen, or do you just...
I do.
Yeah?
The voice is just too high-pitched.
No.
I know some adults can get to that level, but...
Have you ever heard Hickey speak? He has a pretty high-pitched voice.
Maybe it's Hickey.
Yeah. That was a weird phone call. And here's the thing. I've been pranked before. It doesn't bother me. But let me just give a little advice to Jordan. If you're going to call in, don't get so nervous in the beginning. Like right when I go to you, oh, he actually went to me. Oh, we're on the air. And then he was like heavy breathing too. He was sitting there. Hey, oh, wait, let me do his voice correctly. Hey, what do you think about Bill Belichick with the Falcons? Like what he would have done? Yeah. Oh, okay. Like that's what basically just happened there. It was weird. It is 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, and he was calling from Pittsburgh. So, now it sounds like Francesa. I guess the kids are out from school today a little bit early. Okay. So, enjoy your juice box, Jordan. All right? Enjoy the juice box. Hopefully, mom and dad got you a little of that string cheese as well. You know what? I hope you get some Cheez-Its today. Love a good Cheez-It. I was actually very annoyed, Stu, with the delivery service that I use to get my Costco order. So I've become a big Costco guy. Not that I'm AJ and Big Justice, but I do usually give Costco 5 big booms. But I was supposed to get my delivery today from 10 to noon was the selected time. Now, I had to get into the office a little bit later. There's some things going around here, so I had to have a few meetings. And the delivery wasn't there by noon, so I had to leave. So the delivery ended up coming to my apartment at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Now, I got a big bag of trail mix. I got new razor blades because I needed those. I got a frozen Detroit-style pizza. I got frozen fruit for my smoothies. And then I also got my perfect peanut butter bars and a few more things. Here's the problem, though. It didn't come to my apartment till 2 p.m. Eastern. So that stuff is sitting outside of my apartment right now. I hope none of my neighbors get a little 5-finger discount. Wouldn't surprise me if they steal my trail mix. But now, like right after the show ends, I think I'll be fine, but I got to rush home because if that frozen stuff goes bad, I'm going to be really, really angry. And Costco isn't cheap, obviously, still. So I'm in a little bit of a dilemma right now.
4+ hours for frozen fruit doesn't sound great.
Yeah. You think I'm screwed here, Marco?
Forget about the frozen's gone.
You think the frozen fruit's gone?
Gone. All the frozen stuff that you got is gone. Forget about it. It's gone.
Even the pizza?
Gone.
In the middle of winter?
Zach, it's 55 degrees outside, number one.
My
Number
apartment's
two,
cold.
Number two, it's in your apartment in a box, correct?
Yeah.
So it's not in refrigeration of any kind.
You think all that stuff's cooked?
Gone. I think
don't
all your frozen
so.
stuff is gone.
I don't think so.
Good luck.
Maybe I'll be out sick next week.
I mean, what do you
Kill
want to tell
two
you?
birds with one stone. Who wants to work the holiday week anyway?
You have frozen stuff that's going to thaw out. You're going to refreeze it, and then you're going to try to eat it. Congratulations. Good luck.
Okay.
Personally, I would cut my losses.
That's $135 of losses.
I'm aware, but I also don't think that, the RIA is worth that when you have the pizza later. So I feel like the money is lost.
The RIA. You're getting hip
It's a little unnecessary.
Is that what your kids are saying? Mommy, Daddy.
No.
Instead of I got doo-doo in my underwear, I got the RIA?
No, nor would my children tell me this, but no.
Okay.
No.
855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Let's see if we have a grown-up on the line right here. Let's go to Adrian in Maryland. Yo, Adrian, what's happening?
Yo, Zach, I think I'm a grown-up.
Last time I checked,
Anyway.
I think so, Adrian.
Yeah, appreciate it. Hey, Zach. Raheem Morrissey has to try Penix this week against the Giants. If they win in like some close game and he doesn't look that good, fine and dandy. You at least tried him. That's my thing. Also, I want to know what's up with this Kirk Cousins being in the shotgun and the pistol the whole time. Is he still hurt? Is that the reason?
At this point of the season, I would hope not. Maybe there is some validity to it, but it was weird. So I saw him play up against the Eagles. I was there in person. And even though he went on that drive at the end of the game, you could tell he still had to knock off some rust from the Achilles injury. But when he had that 500-yard game up against the Buccaneers, I thought Kirk Cousins was back. He either is still feeling the effects from the Achilles or he suffered something else that we don't know, because he's clearly either two things, not 100%, or two, he's just shot, right? Like, it happens when you're 36, 37, you can't play until you're forever.
Right. And also him being in pistol, he's no threat to run the ball. So, it's either if the fakes come in, okay, we're going to get to Bijan, but he's going to drop back and pass. Also, I think Raheem Morris doesn't have a say up till now if Kurt is playing. And if Bill Belichick was there, he would have sat down a long time ago. And I think that was the problem with the Atlanta's upper echelon management saying, well, Bill's going to have too much power. He's going to be able to say this. Raheem Morris, it seems like he's got no power.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Adrian. Like, why should Terry Fontenot have all this power? He drafted Michael Penix Jr. So, like, if you can't play him now, what's the point of drafting him when Kirk sucks?
Yeah, I think it's the money. I think they're scared that money is out there. They're scared of going to Penix being bad, and sitting Kirk and saying, "Oh, we just dropped $100 million, and what we have nowhere else to go." They were 6-3. They should have won this division easily if they played any kind of football. They beat the Cowboys, they beat the Eagles, and now they dropped 4 in a row, and then they play a Raiders. I thought the Raiders were going to win that game because they ran 2 basically Hail Marys where they could have ran legitimate plays from the 30-yard line into the end zone, which they didn't, which probably told you, okay, we want to lose this game. Just throw some Hail Marys up, and if somebody comes down with it, oh well, we win the game. If not, we're still in a good place.
Yeah, and also, and appreciate the phone call, Adrian. The Raiders, Stu would have been out sick today if the Raiders would have won that game, because that would have just screwed up your draft pick. A lot of Giants fans really would have been happy because then it would have helped the Giants in terms of the draft as well. Once you draft Michael Penix Jr., I know that you paid Kirk all this money, but the contract, in terms of me caring about it, basically goes out the window. And I know that the Falcons probably want Kirk Cousins to play well in the final 3 weeks of the season, because then maybe they could get someone to either trade for him. But, like, who's trading for that contract with what we've seen? You got 3 years left on that contract. No one in the right, like, Marco, do you think Kirk Cousins, this is probably going to be a Russell Wilson thing at the end of the year, where either he's back next year for one more year when everyone knows it's not going to work, Or you're just going to release him, then he'll go sign some cheap deal somewhere else because he has all this money coming in.
He's not going to get released in the offseason, not with 3 years left. They'll bring him back. If he loses the job in the preseason, he loses the job in the preseason. But they're not going to justify that contract. Cut and bait now. It's too much. It's too long.
They have to go to Penix next year.
Again, between now and next year, most likely, if we see the same Kirk Cousins, yes. If we don't see the same Kirk Cousins, I could see them trying to squeeze out a second year. Yeah, I absolutely can.
Last 5 games, 1 touchdown to 9 interceptions.
Look, he's looked awful.
Terrible.
He looks like he aged terribly in a short period of time. Or he's beat up and he's hurt. Either it's the Achilles is not right or he's got another injury on top of it. I don't know. You don't know. But I think the Falcons, you can't justify signing him and then cutting him after 1 year with that contract. You just can't do it.
Just give me the answer of fact or fiction. Fact or fiction. The best choice to be the next Bears head coach out of all the possible candidates, Mike Vrabel.
Fiction.
Okay. Would you say it's Ben Johnson?
Fiction. I don't think he would take that job.
Okay. So I think that Mike Vrabel is the best candidate, personally.
I didn't say he was. He wasn't or was. I don't think the Bears go that direction.
Okay. So they're probably going like a Joe Brady, Liam Cohen.
I could see that. Look, it's partly because I don't think it's as attractable as much as you say the roster. The ownership, it's a bit of a mess going to the Bears, and I think everybody knows it. Plus, you don't know who the hell's in charge. So that's part of it, too. So that's not exactly the best job that's available out there. So you're not going to get the best candidate. That's one. And two, I think because they saw the error of Matt Eberflus, they're not going defense. They're going with a guy that's got an offensive background for Caleb Williams.
So if I was the Bears, the safest bet to me, I think, would be Mike Vrabel. Now let me go to the Raiders. Fact or fiction, Antonio Pierce will be back next season as the Raiders coach.
Fiction.
Oh, wow.
I think he's out.
You think he's out?
I think he's done.
I actually think he's going to be back. Stu, what do you think there?
I think he's out.
You think he's out too?
I do.
Even though they played a little tough for him last night.
Yeah. He's not an offensive mind, really. The clock management is bad. I think they're going to hire someone else.
Fact or fiction, Shedeur Sanders is the next quarterback.
Fact.
Fact or fiction, Shedeur Sanders is the next quarterback. Something that we all agree on. This is why I think Antonio Pierce is going to be back. I think Dion has made it clear that he would love for Shedeur to play for Antonio Pierce. He said that last week. I think Dion is fine with Pierce being the guy from the jump, but Dion's not stupid. In the back of his mind, Dion knows that he'll be on the hot seat. Year one, probably not going to work out. He wants to stay at Colorado. And then the next time a Shedeur job opens up, then where Shedeur's quarterback, then Dion's going to go.
I think you're a little slow on it. I think Dion takes the job this year and goes with Shedeur.
Even though he already has that big recruit coming in?
I don't care.
How about that?
I don't.
Would be something. I haven't been called slow in a long time. Hurt my feelings.
Sorry.
I'm going to go complain.
Well, you better hope your apartment's 30 degrees, too, because you're frozen shut.
I think I'm going to be okay.
70-degree apartment, 5 hours, frozen food out? Bruh, throw it out.
I'm going to be right back at 6 o'clock.
Oh, right back.
Right back.
Right back.
6:15. I'll be there. Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to be okay.
4.5 hours. It's fine.
If that frozen pizza is still frozen, I think I'm good.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it'll be. Like a brick when you get home.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I'll bet you a slice of pizza, bud.
Pass.
All right, overreaction, proper reaction next. Here's Marco with the latest update.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, Zach, obviously been a down year for the Cowboys, coming off an offseason where they shelled out the big money for Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. Then Stephen Jones seemed to fan the flames that thought Micah Parsons could be the odd man out, with Dallas looking to possibly trade him to avoid giving out another huge payday. That's not where Jerry Jones's mind is. This courtesy of 105.3 The Fan in Dallas.
He did not in any way say that Micah Parsons was at issue looking ahead at the future at all. He did not say that. And by the way, I didn't hear what he said, or I have not read what he said, but I know he didn't say that, because that's never been uttered in this organization, that we don't have a future with Michael Parsons.
NBA Cup Finals tonight in Vegas. Thunder and Bucks. Game doesn't count towards the standings. Doc Rivers discussing some of the problems having the Cup being a best 2 of 3.
It's unfair that whoever's in it, I guess is the best way to answer your question. You have to play them 3 extra time than the rest. That one game could be the difference in you getting the first seed and the second seed.
And it'll be a new format for the All-Star game this year in the NBA as well. 4 teams, 3 games, 1 night tournament, 3 8-player All-Star teams, and the winner of the Rising Stars Challenge. I'm Marco Belletti.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is, play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Another NFL week is complete, which means it's another week to freak out about your favorite team. Which takes are truly crazy.
But sometimes a game can be so bad, it's almost good. You know what I'm saying? No.
And which are so crazy, they might be right.
He's 6'5", he's 245 pounds. He's probably a Popeye's biscuit away from being a tight end.
Zach lets you know in this week's edition of Overreaction or Proper Reaction.
Alrighty, Stu, what do we got cooking today?
All right, so during Sunday's loss to the Bengals, the Titans, they pulled starting quarterback Will Levis in favor of Mason Rudolph. And according to reports, it will be Rudolph that gets to start the rest of the way. So overreaction or proper reaction, the Titans should bring in a veteran like Sam Darnold or Kirk Cousins rather than drafting a quarterback.
I wouldn't want Kirk Cousins and Darnold. I think that would be a problem because the roster is just not good enough. I know you got Tony Pollard. I know Nick Westbrook-Akine has been solid this year. You got Calvin Ridley. I just don't think there's enough weapons there. Darnold, to me, is more of a product of being in a better situation than him being a really good quarterback. So I would go overreaction on that one.
In the AFC, the 8-6 Chargers hold the final playoff spot, 2 games ahead of the 6-8 Colts, Bengals, and Dolphins. Over in the NFC, the Commanders sit in the last spot at 9-5, while the only other team above 500 are the Seahawks at 8-6. So overreaction or proper reaction, the 14 teams that are currently in the playoffs will end up being the 14 teams that make the playoffs.
So in the AFC, it's the Chiefs, Bills, Steelers, Texans, Ravens, Broncos, Chargers. Yep, those are the 7 that I've been saying for the last few weeks. And in the NFC, Lions, Eagles, Tampa, Rams, Vikings, Packers, Commanders. I think that's going to hold because I do think the wild card teams will be the Vikings, Packers, and Commanders. You know, I guess we could maybe reevaluate the Lions in terms of Division 2, but I think those 4 teams will be in. I like Tampa to win the South. Eagles already, taking care of business. And you look at the Rams, I think they're going to win the West. So, yeah, that's a proper reaction. Those will be the 14 playoff teams.
After his monster 494 5-touchdown performance in the Lions' loss to the Bills, Jared Goff is now second in the NFL in yards and 4th in touchdowns. Goff finished second in yards last year, as well as, and has been top 6 in yards 5 times in the last 7 seasons. The former number 1 overall pick led 2 top 2 offenses with the Rams and now 3 top 5 offenses with the Lions, including this year's number 1 offense. So overreaction or proper reaction, it's time to consider Jared Goff an elite quarterback.
That's an overreaction, and I think some people will say, oh, Zach slamming Jared Goff. I'm not. He's clearly a top 10 quarterback in the league. But elite to me is like, are you one of the 3 or 4 best quarterbacks in the league? Mahomes or Goff? Mahomes. Joe Burrow or Goff? Joe Burrow. Josh Allen or Goff? Josh Allen. Lamar Jackson or Goff? Lamar Jackson. So I'm just stricter in how open that elite tag is. So it's time to consider Jared Goff an elite quarterback. This is not the Joe Flacco elite conversation, so that's an overreaction.
Mike McDaniel entered the season with a record of 20-14 as the Dolphins head coach, and is now 6-8 this year, despite losing Tua for 4 games. However, the big knock on the Fins has been their disappearances in big games, as showcased by McDaniel's record of 3-13 against teams above 500. Overreaction or proper reaction, the Dolphins should move on from McDaniel after this season.
I'm going to say overreaction, and I give him one more year to try to redeem himself. But if they bring back this GM, Chris Grier, I just wonder what pictures Chris Grier has of Stephen Ross. I'm serious at this point. That dude should have been fired years ago. So the Dolphins should move on from McDaniel after the season. I'll go slight overreaction.
After 5 underachieving seasons in college between 3 different programs, DJ Uiagalelei has declared for the NFL draft. Now, DJU was the number 2 recruit in the 2020 class, behind only Heisman winner and number 1 overall pick Bryce Young, but has averaged just 177 yards per game passing-wise, with just 61 touchdowns and 53 starts. Overreaction or proper reaction, you would use a late-round pick on DJU.
A late round pick?
Yes, like a 6th or 7th round pick on DJU.
No. He underachieved at Clemson. Was fine at Oregon State. And then was a disaster at Florida State. So I would not use a late first round pick on DJ Uiagalelei. So would I? Overreaction.
Patrick Mahomes suffered a high ankle sprain Sunday as the two-time defending champs gear up for 3 games in 11 days against the Texans, Steelers, and Broncos. The 13-1 Chiefs also hold a 1-game lead over the Bills for the number 1 seed in the AFC and that all-important first-round bye. Overreaction or prop reaction, it's more important that the Chiefs rest Mahomes to get him healthy rather than get the number 1 seed and the bye.
Proper reaction. You got to have it. You could do both, honestly. But if you maybe pick one or the other, a healthy Mahomes or get in the bye. They didn't have the bye last year. And they said bye to all those teams. They waved goodbye to them. And they wound up going to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl again. So, yeah, it's more important for the Chiefs to rest Mahomes and get him healthy than get that first-round bye. But I think both are going to happen. I don't think he'll play this week. I think even if they lose the game, they'll still find a way at the end of the year to have one more win than the Buffalo Bills. But it does get interesting if they do drop one this week. All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a timeout. When we come on back, this dude was just awesome. Absolutely awesome to watch play from his days in the NFL, mainly with the Philadelphia Eagles. Ended his career with the Denver Broncos. We'll talk some Eagles and their locker room problems that maybe not existent anymore, and also get his thoughts on not only the Denver Broncos, but maybe even a little Bill Belichick and some other NFL happenings as well. Because Clemson Tigers play this week in the college football playoff. Brian Dawkins, Weapon X, the Pro Football Hall of Famer, joins us next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hour number 2 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. We go out to the guest line right now, welcoming someone, man, I loved watching him play when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Denver Broncos. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He is Weapon X, Brian Dawkins, here with us today on behalf of Beringer and also Lily It Takes Two Health Initiative. B-Doc, appreciate the time as always. How you been?
Oh, absolutely blessed. Appreciate you having me too, man.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. I got to start you off with your Eagles because, man, the young fellas in the secondary are really producing, and Cooper DeJean and also Quinyon Mitchell. Just what have been your impressions so far in those two youngsters?
Love it. Love it. You know, for me, and I'm kind of strange this way, you know, one of the things that I always look for when it comes to guys who are stepping into the league or teams or whatever the case may be is how do they respond from a down setting? Like when you fail, how do you respond? And so I know that's quirky. I know that's not what people want to hear, but that's what I look for. I love success. Don't get me wrong, I do, but it's how you respond to a failure, how you respond to being potentially embarrassed is what I'm looking for these young guys. Until then, let them continue to ball, but I can't. When they do struggle, I want to see how they bounce back. Can they bounce back, and do they bounce back with a stronger fire and desire to continue to improve?
And something that's encouraging, this defense last year was not at the Eagles standard. And you bring in Vic Fangio, got off to a little bit of a slow start, but recently this defense has been really dangerous and really damn good. Just what have your impressions been from afar this year on the entirety of this defense when we get outside of just the secondary?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, as you've talked to me in the beginning, I would have told you and I had said that there will be growing pains. You're going to have growing pains when you have a new defensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator stepping in. They have to learn the personnel that they have, and you learn who you truly have on game day. Don't get me wrong, you can learn some of it in practice, but you truly learn who you have and what you can do on game day. And so to me, you know, they went obviously 2-2. They struggled in some ends, and he wasn't quite as aggressive as far as calling blitzing and all of those things as people begin to panic a little bit. No, again, I believe that he was able to then go into the bye week. You watch film, you're being honest. Accountability is real huge in rooms that have success. So then you look at the tape, you look at what you have, and can I be aggressive? And then Cooper DeJean was added into the equation that during that same period of time, very versatile, being able to do a lot of different things. And now all of a sudden, a whole lot more pressure is being added to the package. And now once you have that pressure, what it does is when you have the opportunity for a defense defense, and this is what I remember from Jim Johnson's defense, like everybody has a chance to potentially blitz. Everybody. And so now when your numbers, you can't wait, you're excited because your number could be called at any time, right? And so now everybody's into it. And so I believe, once again, Vic felt more comfortable, feels more comfortable, and he knows who he has on defense. And the young guys and the veterans are performing at a high level. And once again, I believe that there's accountability in the building on defense. Starts with Vic. I believe that he's saying some things that needs to be said, but that filters down to the leaders as well.
Weapon X, the Pro Football Hall of Famer Brian Dawkins is my guest. It was an interesting past week for the Eagles. I know it ended in a good way with a win. You had Brandon Graham on WIP talking about the relationship between A.J. Brown and also Jalen Hurts, and they've had to respond. They made a big statement on Sunday with the way that they played and won that game up against the Steelers. But what was your reaction and kind of impressions of everything that just happened this past week in Philly?
Well, if this past weekend is any indication of things to come, I love it. Again, I just told you what one of my criterion of watching these young guys. I want to see how they go through and grow through struggles. I want to see if they have the capacity, the ability to then still have the same fight, grit, desire, determination, and be held accountable and then grow, right? Same thing in this situation. You get behind closed doors, you have tough conversations, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. Iron sharpens iron. That means friction has to happen sometimes, right? And then you come out of the room, you're stronger together, you're closer together, and you go out and you're like a sharper sword. You go out and cut people up. And my bad, I went too hard on that one. But you go out and you do some damage during the week, and they did that this past weekend. So again, if this past weekend is any indication of them getting on the same page and hashing some things out, they're going down the right path.
You're one of the greatest leaders that the game has ever seen. Brandon Graham is also a really good leader. You talk about accountability and calling people out. A lot of people last week was like, I don't know if BG should have done that publicly. I thought that was a good sign of leadership, actually, from Brandon Graham, because I would imagine, felt like it was necessary because they know, right? They were 10-1 last year. They had problems in that locker room. It didn't go their way. I thought that was BG just saying, hey, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, even if it's unconventional, to prevent what happened last year to repeat itself this year. Your thoughts on that?
And if that was his way of doing it, that's the way he did it. I wouldn't have done it that way. I'm someone that would never do something in public like y'all hopefully won't hear nothing in any of the conversations that I've had with my teammates. Why? Because I respect the locker room too much for that, right? So it's just nothing's going to come out of my mouth about the locker room, right? It may come back from somebody else about what was happening, what was going on, but not through me. I always pull guys to the side. We have tough conversations, whatever the case may be. And then again, we come out of that room together so we can move forward together with one another in mind. And so, again, there's different ways of doing things. And again, if he decided that was the way he wanted to go about doing it, go ahead. Again, that's not how I would have done it. Again, I would have asked all three of us to see if we can have a tough conversation together.
Ryan Dawkins here on behalf of Beringer and also Leah Takes Two Health Initiative. We'll talk about that in just a second. Let me flip it to the Broncos. Really strong start so far with what we're seeing. It looks like they're a playoff team. Big game coming up Thursday against the Chargers. You got Sean Payton and Bo Nix, but man, you probably have to love what you've seen so far in the first few seasons from Pat Surtain. He's unbelievable as a secondary player.
Absolutely. And like if there's someone that in the league that could remind you of their future, I mean, they're just recent Hall of Famer, Champ Bailey, it's that cat there, man. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, he's a phenomenal talent. Long, right? Lanky, can run. He doesn't have, like, I can't think of a weak area in his game, to be honest with you, right? So he's that type of a cornerback. And they have that on defense. And the defense as a whole are playing aggressive. They're doing a great job on defense in Denver for the most part. You know, the thing that will potentially halt their run, and I know they're going to hate to hear this, is just having a young quarterback. It's not that he's not talented. It's not that he can't move the ball and create on the run. It's not any of those things. It's that he's a young quarterback. And then when you step into the playoffs and a young quarterback in those different atmospheres, because the Broncos will more than likely have to go on the road every time. in the playoffs, right? All the way up into the Super Bowl, more than likely, right? And that's tough for any quarterback to do, let alone a rookie. So that will be the only thing that I would say. Other than that, I believe that they're moving in the right direction as far as what they do on offense as well. Sean is doing a great job with that on that side of the football, and on the defensive side of the ball, like they're absolutely balling out.
It's funny you bring up Champ Bailey. It's an obvious comparison, but I had a conversation with Champ before the season started, and he said, hey, this dude should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He should have more Pro Bowls than me. And to hear that praise from Champ Bailey, and then also your words as well, it really speaks to what your guys' expectations are for even the next step that a Pat Surtain could take.
Absolutely. And again, for me, this is year what for him? What, 3, 4? Even at year 1 into year 2, there was a calm demeanor about him on that island out there, because that's the island. Everybody, I know it was Revis Island, but on that, I call it the express. You can call it the expressway too. So out there on that expressway, like that's a different level of athleticism and confidence you have to have in your ability to do some of the things that he does. And he does them technique sound, speed turns, and all of those things. And he stays sticky in coverage, and he can find the football. Like, so he has everything early on in tough environments, tough places, and he was still performing at a high level even in his first year into his second year. Now in his year 3, you can tell the comfortability that he has in any and all circumstances, situation. You can put him outside, you can put him in a slot, wherever you want to put him at. He has the ability to excel from a physical standpoint, but also a mental standpoint in making adjustments.
You got to be excited, by the way, for Clemson this upcoming weekend with their first-round playoff game up against Texas. A lot of people didn't expect Clemson to be here, but they found a way to win the ACC, and that should be a good one coming up on Saturday.
And I'm not going to lie, I did not expect them to be here either. Some of the games that they lost and how they lost some games, and for me, it's just when they face kind of top-tier talented teams, the score was not to a great degree in some of those cases. And so it surprised the heck out of me that they're where they are, but hey, they're here, they're in the playoffs. It's not how you get your foot in the door, it's what you do with that doggone opportunity.
One more question for the Pro Football Hall of Famer, Brian Dawkins, before we talk about what he's doing with Beringer and also Lily's It Takes Two Health Initiative. What you make of Belichick? He's going to return. Now he's going to be the coach at UNC. I thought he would have been back in the NFL, but Bill's going back to school, B-Dog.
Well, I guess Bill was like, I'm tired of talking to them older cats. Like, let me get back to the roots and start talking to some of these young cats. See if we can get some of these young cats ready for the National Football League. And I would tell you, if when you think about the potential of a guy coming into the National Football League, when you used to go through Alabama, right, and you get players from Alabama, they were taught things that will prepare them right away for the National Football League. I'm not saying some other teams don't do some of it, but for the most part, when you get a cat from Alabama, he's going to be taught up in a whole lot of things that's going to allow you to plug and play these guys. It can be a similar situation if guys are willing to come to North Carolina. Now, the only caveat is Bill is not necessarily he doesn't do the what do you call it, the positive reinforcement type of coaching.
He's not a warm individual.
He's not a warm. I'm trying to find the right word for it. He doesn't go about it that way. So you have to have the type of tough skin to be able to withstand some of how he does things and work in a way that he feels that you need to be working. So you have to have that mentality to be able to do that. So if you have that mentality and you want to be ready for the pros, like it can really, and I think I heard somebody say it like that, like it could literally be a factory to the pros, man. Like seriously.
Yeah, all righty. Before we let you run, B-Doc, tell me what you're doing today with Beringer and Lily's It Takes Two Health Initiative.
Yeah, so first of all, it's a blessing to be a part of this. It really is. And, one of the things that I've had to do as a professional football player, and I understand the significance of it, is being someone that's proactive, not always reactive to things. So and that becomes to stuff on the field, absolutely, but also in my health, right? So to this day, I still work out, I still lift, and I do those things for specific reasons. I want to be proactive with my health. And so when I caught wind of these two parameters that could potentially have you going down the path of having kidney disease, and my parents aligned with them, and that's high blood pressure, and the other one is type 2 diabetes, right? So both of my parents have battled with that from time to time, and they'll still be battling through this going forward as they continue to live. And so once I caught wind to this, that it takes you and your doctor, and it takes 2 blood tests, a urine test and a blood test, to see if you are in the stats. Or there's 35 million adults that are living with kidney disease, and only 90% know they have it, right? So now my parents and their caregivers know that this is a test that needs to be done. They've done it, right? And so now if I can use my platform to be able to scream, right, to shout, to scream it to everybody who knows somebody, maybe in your house, maybe you or somebody in your house, your parents, or those who are more seasoned in their life. We don't get old, we just get more seasoned. Those who are more seasoned in life, to help them stay healthy longer, right? That's what this is about for me. So again, you can go to testyourkidneys.com for more information. And again, it's an absolute blessing for me to be a part of it. And to know that I'll be a part of the Rose Day Parade, right? To be on the float, something that I watched throughout my college days, out of my life as watching the game of football in college. And, to be a part of it with Rob Bass and having him, redo his song, It Takes Two from back in the day, to fit this campaign.
Well, it's a great message. Always appreciate you jumping on board with us. He's one of, the best leaders in the history of the NFL, and that is the great Brian Dawkins. B-Dawk, appreciate it. Thank you.
God bless you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
There he is, Brian Dawkins, and the Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD, veterans, and their families. Our members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. This week's player is Texans cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. In Sunday's 20-12 win over the Dolphins, Stingley had 5 tackles and 2 interceptions, including a key one in the fourth, with just under 2 minutes left. We'll take a break. When we come on back, Brian Dawkins' Clemson Tigers do play this weekend up against the Texas Longhorns. We will look at the 4 matchups that we have, 1 on Friday, then 3 on Saturday. And we'll take a look at the home teams because there's a lot of pressure on them, and they have everything to lose. We'll get to that next. Football season is in full swing. You take full advantage by winning some cash with Sleeper Picks. Sleeper Picks is a fantasy game, but you can win real money. Just pick more or less than at least 2 of your favorite player stats. If you're right, you could win. You can pick up to 8 players, so up to 100 times your money. For a limited time, Sleeper has a special offer. New users just have to play $5, and they'll receive $55 in free bonus entries. That's right. If you deposit $25 and play $5, they'll give you 11 $5 bonus entries to start playing. So download the Sleeper app now and use promo code SCORE and get it on this promo before time runs out. What are you waiting for? Download Sleeper today and unlock one of the fastest growing fantasy sports apps in the world. Use code SCORE to play the Play $5, get $55 bonus entry offer. That's code SCORE. Must be at least 18 years old in most states and present in state where it is legal to wager. Promo code, location, and other restrictions apply. Minimum deposit $25. See terms used for details at sleeper.com. Please play responsibly. Call 1-800-426-2537 for help. Sponsored by Sleeper, a Blitz product.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Stu, I'm going to ask you a question here. I'm going to give you 5 potential answers. I'm going to give you an A, B, C, D, or E.
Okay.
Usually write multiple choice, just A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you an E as well on this. And let's see if you can get this right. I'm reading an article during the break. It's about Aaron Rodgers. It's via our friends at Awful Announcing. Awful Announcing goes from writing about my conversation with RG3 to something about Aaron Rodgers. Do you think the article is about which one of these choices that I'll give you? It's about Aaron Rodgers. Choice A, his decision about his future. Choice B, him ripping Jeff Ulbrich. Choice C, that he's in a fight about vaccine status. Choice D, he hung up on Pat McAfee in this interview. Or choice E, he's going to be the guest tomorrow on Jim Rome's 4th Hour. Which one do you think it's going to be? A, B, C, D, or E? Which one?
I think it's the fight over vaccine status is what I'll go with.
Stu, that's why you're a smart student. Aaron Rodgers fires back at Ryan Clark by begging to know his vaccine status. Quote, "You were captured by the multi-million-dollar propaganda Skyhawk, and you're still upset about it," close quotes. Now, let me just give a disclaimer. Everything I'm about to say, don't take it seriously. And don't say, oh, I'm pro-vaccine or anti-vaccine. But isn't Aaron Rodgers the same jackwagon? Jabroni? Numbnuts. That was the same guy that was like, we need to eliminate distractions in the Jets building. Well, does this help anyone? Does this help anyone? The Jets suck. You're playing like a bum this year. I know you just got it, a nice little performance. All right, you played well. Congratulations. You just beat the lowly Jaguars. And I don't know, to be clear, the history or the origins of Rodgers and Ryan Clark, but I'll tell you this, I got nothing to watch tonight. Nothing to watch tonight, but I'm going to watch this full interview with Pat McAfee and Aaron Rodgers and find out the origins of his fight with Ryan Clark. It is amazing how much of an unmitigated disaster the Jets have been. And, right, you could take the shot or not take the shot, be my guest. But any Jet, and this is why the Jet fan could be the dumbest fan in sport. I'm starting to realize. And I say this having a lot of friends that are Jets fans, like really close friends. Did you see how many Jets fans after the game on Sunday were like, that's why you got to bring Aaron back? It's like the season has been terrible. So the fact that you just barely hung on to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars is why you bring him back? And you're going to have a new GM and a new coach have to inherit Aaron Rodgers for what? Like, to make the playoffs potentially if everything goes right next year? It's amazing. Absolutely amazing that there are Jets fans that want Aaron Rodgers back. And this has nothing to do about the whole fight with Ryan Clark and the vaccine, but you never know what to expect from this guy. And the juice is worth the squeeze when he's great. But this is how sad it is right now with Aaron Rodgers. That this great quarterback who had high expectations in New York, he has failed, and it has resulted into him going on McAfee and fighting Ryan Clark. And to be fair, hand raised, right? I don't know what Ryan Clark said. I don't know the origins about it. I'm going to do more digging on this afterwards, but I'm coming back from break, and I'm laughing because I just read that headline from Awful Announcing. This is the Jets fans thought that they were going to have Aaron Rodgers on McAfee this time of the year, talking about a team that looked like they could be a Super Bowl contender. Instead, we're having an old vaccine debate with Ryan Clark and Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee extravaganza. My, oh my. And the screen grab that they used is hysterical. So the screen grab, even McAfee's like, oh no, what's going on here? He's like, oh my goodness gracious, I've lost all control of my show. AJ Hawk is sitting there just stoic AJ Hawk, like even he can't believe it. And Aaron Rodgers, backwards hat, good 5 o'clock shadow, looks like he's just spewing. But Aaron Rodgers, the same guy. Yeah, we got to eliminate all the distractions. And this guy, every time he opens up his mouth, provides a distraction. Oh my goodness gracious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 paragraphs about this conversation. When does this, do we know when this Netflix documentary comes? That's got to be soon, right? I won't do ayahuasca for it. But, maybe I'll enjoy something because I feel like you can't be sober when you watch this Netflix docu-series that's coming out on Aaron Rodgers, which I think it's called Enigma or something like that. Stu, see if you don't mind, if you could do me a favor, see when this comes out. Because if I'm going to torture myself with the Aaron Rodgers conversation about Ryan Clark, which is entertainment, I guess I will watch the Aaron
Drops
Rodgers
today,
thing.
apparently.
It drops today? Oh, my goodness gracious. So this is how pathetic my Tuesday night is. My Tuesday night could actually be spent watching Rodgers on McAfee and then Rodgers' Netflix thing. So maybe before I comment on it, I will say, like I'm a football player. Zach Gelb got 2 shots of Pfizer, and I had 1 booster. That was my vaccine status in my history, just to get that out there. Geez Louise. I heard like about 30 seconds of the clip, and Rodgers is saying, anytime you speak, you need to identify your vaccine status so people can know a lot about you. This guy, Aaron Rodgers. once again, like, get the shot or not, it's such an old debate at this point. But how Rodgers is still pushing the vaccine stuff and getting into fights over this stuff. Like, 2020, 2021, that's like an eternity ago. We're about to hit 2025, Aaron. And this is what we're doing. Rodgers with McAfee and A.J. Hawk, and the Jet season's so pathetic that they're getting into this beef. And even McAfee, in the 30-second clip that I saw, it's like he's trying to cut him off. It's like when your crazy uncle is just sitting there, right? He's having too much of the keg, and he's just, all right, let's talk politics. And everyone's like, ah! And you're like, let's untap the keg. Get it away from crazy uncle. Jeez Louise, this is something. This is really something. Aaron Rodgers. What's he going to do post-career? What do you think Aaron Rodgers does post-career, Stu? You have any guesses? Because he said he won't announce. He said that. He made that clear. Co-host with Joe Rogan? Is that probably what it's going to be?
Yeah, I think it's something in the media.
Which is so funny because he's so anti-media.
Yeah.
But he takes every media opportunity that's out there. I was talking to Gallo during the break because he goes, I saw what you said to Russell Wilson in the locker room. He goes, Gallo's giving me the seal of approval, pretty much. He's like, it's a good question. I saw a bunch of views on Twitter and YouTube. I go, thanks. So I said, like, Russell Wilson, he thought, like, Russell Wilson looked at me, he's like, this guy asking this question. I thought it was a very good exchange with me and Russ. And, all I said was, hey, there's been a debate that this team are they just good or are they great? And how far away is this team from being great? And Russ gave a legitimate answer. But I thought with how, like, Russ kind of looked at me for a second, that it was going to be, I'm not giving you anything. And he ended up giving a 50-second answer. Aaron Rodgers, I went into that Jet locker room once this year, or twice. And I asked him right after the Texans game, you got 2 months left in the season. It doesn't look like the season's going where you thought it was going to go. Have you at all thought about the possibility of retirement? And he laughed and immediately said no, but I thought he was like looking into my soul during that moment. And he was trying to just like rip out my heart and kill me on the spot. That's what I felt like. But a week and a half later, Rodgers talking about his status. I know he's unsure what he's going to do. Or no, he was going to come back. And then he changed, he doesn't know what he's going to do. But this Aaron Rodgers thing is really something. Let's see if we can play this game with Marco real quickly, Stu. So Stu passed this test. Were you a good test taker as a kid? I'm going to assume no, right?
Somewhat okay.
C's get degrees? Did you follow my philosophy in college?
No, I was definitely better than a C student. And in college, I was actually a very good student.
Really?
I was less inclined in my younger years.
Okay. So there's an article out there about Aaron Rodgers right now in awful announcing.
Okay.
The headline of this, I'm going to give you an A, B, C, D, or E. I'm going to give you 5 choices.
Okay.
Does the article have to do with A, a decision about his future? B, ripping Jeff Ulbrich? C, he's in a fight about vaccine status? D, he hung up on Pat McAfee in his weekly chat this week? Or E, he's going to be an exclusive guest on Jim Rome's 4th Hour coming up tomorrow?
C, he loves the vaccinations. Loves them. Loves the vax.
Mm-hmm.
What did he do now? Who got vaxxed now? What's the problem now?
Let's see if you could guess the person that he's in a fight with. This person, this former athlete, prominent media member, also got into a fight with someone in this building that was well publicized, I think at some point over the summer or in the NFL offseason.
So an NFL media guy got into a fight with someone in this building.
In this building. Like, they weren't physically fighting in this building,
Obviously.
but they were fighting with someone that works in this building. That's in this building right now, as we currently speak, hosting a show.
Oh, Ryan Clark?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
This is the headline.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers fires back at Ryan Clark by begging to know his vax status. Quote, you are captured by the multi-million-dollar propaganda Skyhawk, and you're still upset about it. Now, I have no clue what prompted this. I heard only about 30 seconds, but I will be watching this full clip after the show. So we have a Ryan Clark, Aaron Rodgers vaccine fight. What year is this? 2021? It's 2024, almost 2025.
I'm still confused. Even that quote didn't make sense. Why are we worried about his vax status? Obviously, Ryan Clark criticized him in some way. Well,
Yes.
How did this go to the vaccine? I don't understand why that's the first thing on his mind all the time. What could possibly lead you back to what your vaccine status is?
Yeah, so my guess is Ryan Clark probably said something. Naturally, some at ESPN took issues with Rodgers' rant last week. There's so many Rodgers rants.
That's what I'm saying. It's almost to the point where it's like, what part? What did he say? I mean,
So here are two paragraphs. I'll read you these quick this quick little blurb, so maybe you get a better understanding. It's Aaron Rodgers versus ESPN round 2, and the New York Jets quarterback is punching back by demanding to know Ryan Clark's vaccine status. Rodgers made waves last week on the Pat McAfee show when he ripped ESPN for transforming into a bounty of unfounded or asinine takes. Ironically, Rodgers dropped this take while he was on ESPN
yes.
via McAfee show, which compensates the quarterbacks for his tendency to give headline-worthy opinions, even if many of them are unfound or asinine. It's good writing by Brandon Contes here. And this is the last paragraph I'll read. Naturally, some at ESPN took issue with Rodgers' rant last week, Ryan Clark being among them. Clark responded to Rodgers on First Take. Here we go. By calling out the hypocrisies of Rodgers taking issue with personality-driven content from former professional athletes while an on-air personality-driven show hosted by a former professional athlete. Rodgers clearly heard Clark calling him a fraud, prompting a bizarre response Tuesday afternoon on the McAfee show. So basically, what Rodgers, I guess, is saying here, now this is me talking, Zach Gelb, hi, vaccinated twice, one booster, that's it. Just so Aaron doesn't get mad at me. I guess that he's annoyed with the response. So this is Aaron saying, if you ever got a vaccine, you're an idiot, a moron, and a dope, and now everyone knows the truth about you, and that's why no one should take Ryan Clark's status or his
so anything
opinions
you
valid.
say, if you got a vaccine, you're an idiot.
That's the way that I took it after reading just that.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks, immunized.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Should the Jets bring back Aaron Rodgers next year?
No.
Will they?
Yeah, probably.
Jeez.
And they'll do the same thing with everybody keeps saying, what's the better option? Not this. The man is old. I understand when he's fully healthy, can he still play? Of course he can. Is he ever going to be fully healthy? Never. Plus, you get this. And this has grown thin on everyone, including everybody in that locker room. You can't tell me that everybody in the locker room didn't get tired of hearing him talk when he was playing like garbage. It's not worth the headache. I'd rather have Jameis Winston throw 5 picks. It's not worth the headache.
Here's the other thing I'll say, too, about this. And I have to apologize real quickly. I'm going to apologize here. I think I said Jets fans are some of the dumbest fans in sports. I think I generalized too much there. There is a small contingent of Jet fans that they just so easily take the bait because they've been tortured and beaten down for so many years. So they see one thing, they try to make it into a huge thing. Any Jet fan that off one game up against the Jaguars, the bleeping Jaguars, where earlier in the year you celebrated when you beat the stinking Patriots and Rodgers looked good, that is saying now you bring Aaron back because of that and now you run them back. Do you just like pain? Do you just like suffering?
Look, part of it's because they've suffered so long and it's the carrot that's been dangling and, just basically touching their nose for however many years. I get that, but I will admit that it's more than just the Jaguars or the Patriots. When he's healthy, and that's the problem, because he's not healthy because he's 40, and every time he gets dinged up, it becomes a major issue and he can't move. I don't know what the hamstring issue is. I don't know what the knee issue is, but I know that as your body gets older, it's hard to recover from this stuff, and he's going to get hit. As he's gotten healthier.
Doesn't he know some voodoo witch doctor that could cure him automatically?
I'm sure. Yeah, when he got immunized, he's learned all about that. When you have these issues and they crop up, when he's not able to move, he can't play. When he's able to move, he can still throw it. The question is, can he move for 17 games? And I think the answer is 100% no. Plus, you get all this with it. So for the Jets, the best thing to do right now, you're going through a clean sweep. You got to get a new GM. You got to get a new coach. You got to get new player. You're going to go through all kinds of changes. That is what you want to keep around for one more year? For what? Lightning in a bottle? Stop it. It's over. I was all for the Jet trade for Aaron Rodgers. I was 2 feet in. Go for it. Go for the ring. It didn't work. Happens. Move on.
I think I'm going to call Aaron after the show.
Is he written down as immunized in your phone or no?
No. I'm just going to ayahuasca Aaron is how I refer to him. I'm going to call him because I have this food delivery that was way late, and I had to come to work. And it's some frozen fruit that Marco thinks is not going to be good, and the frozen pizza that thinks it's going to be unfrozen when I get there. Marco said I should just throw it in the trash. I'm going to invite Aaron over to my palatial estate tonight and have him just do some spell on the food so it refreezes, and I'll be okay.
All right, good luck.
Yeah.
Ayahuasca, immunized, all for
Diarrhea.
it. All for it. All for it.
All righty, so this weekend in the college football playoff, on Friday night you have Indiana, Notre Dame. Saturday you do have SMU, Penn State. You have Clemson, Texas, Tennessee, Ohio State. The home teams are under a ton of pressure. Ryan Day, it goes without being said, you lose this one. I still think you'll be back, but man, you're going to have people calling for your job. Texas, Clemson, this season goes from being really good to Texas to a disaster if you lose to Clemson. Just because, hey, who'd you beat this year? Your best win would be Texas A&M. SMU, Penn State, James Franklin can't win a big game. I don't even know if I call this a big game, but it is a college football playoff game. But you have a road where you win this game, then you play Boise State. A lot of people are saying that's an easy road, even though I think Boise State's going to give you a tough game, and I even picked Boise State to win that game outright yesterday. And then Indiana, Notre Dame, man, for the Fighting Irish, you have found a way to weather the storm. 10-game win streak after losing at NIU. You lose this game, it's like, what the heck were we doing this season, especially with some of the talent the way that Notre Dame has got better throughout the year. So all four of those home teams, it's going to be fascinating to see how we're talking about them coming up on Sunday and also Monday. Let's get the latest update in. Here's our Capitan, Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Now, Zach, the Lions did turn into a mass unit. David Montgomery, Aleem McNeil, both lost for the season. But some good news regarding Aiden Hutchinson, pass rusher, with a message to his teammates, courtesy of Crunch Time Sports.
I'm on track for my goal of returning for the Super Bowl. And so I keep telling all the boys when I see him in the facility, I'm like, you guys just got to get there. And I promise you, I'm going to be back. And I tell people that. My mom was like, I remember we were talking yesterday, and she's like, but Aiden, like what if you don't get back? Like what if you can't? And I was like, there's no other way.
Meanwhile, for Jerry Jones, no stranger to speaking his mind, even when it comes to some delicacies that he enjoys.
I've eaten a lot of raccoon. Yes. The answer is yes. And I've eaten it hunting. I've actually had it served by my mom at the table away from hunting.
That's not all, though. Jerry also enjoys his squirrel, especially a particular area.
My mom and I wouldn't even ask for the brain in a squirrel.
Oh, man.
And delicious, seriously.
Both courtesy of 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, and NBA Cup final tonight, Bucks and Thunder in Vegas. I'm Marco Belletti.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. All righty. We got a little music here for this draft. Is that what sources have told me
Some
here?
special music.
Oh, do we? Go ahead. What's the music?
I was told that this is a big
A
deal.
little Super Bowl shuffle
Yes.
with the Bears?
Now, I've never heard of this, but I guess it outdates me a little. I don't know if that's a defense or not, but
You've never heard the Super Bowl
I've
shuffle
never
with the
heard
Bears?
of seeing this. No,
Wait, what?
never.
Now, when were you born?
91.
And I was born in 94, but you've never seen this at all?
Nope.
The Bears Super Bowl Shuffle, that's a
Never.
classic. They always show it whenever Sunday's Super Bowl Sunday, and they go through all the past champions. This always makes it. The Eagles also had a good song, too, I remember. You know, what would Buddy do or something like that? Randall Cunningham, quarterback, which was good. And, then, I think the greatest team song ever, 7th Floor Crew with Miami. Now, it's very, very, very vulgar. And people would have got canceled today. But those are some good songs. Now, Sam, do you want me to play this for the entirety of this draft?
We'll try. We'll try for a few picks, and if it's too annoying, we'll switch to some regular music.
It's a great song, but it's a little distracting. But all right, maybe we'll go Saturday Night Live. We're doing the Bears draft. The Bears. Don't want to have a heart attack on the air. We're doing a Bears quarterback coaching draft. They have a quarterback, or we think they have a quarterback. All right, I'll go first, Stu. To be the next head coach of the Bears. In at number 1, Mike Vrabel. That's my pick.
That's fair. I think my clear is between Vrabel and someone else for me, and I'll go with Ben Johnson, who I just love the offensive mind and what he can do. I think for Caleb Williams, I definitely want an offensive guy. That would be my priority. So I'll go Ben Johnson with my first pick.
And let me just comment real quickly.
Sure.
I think Ben Johnson would be most people's top choice. I think Mike Vrabel, though, is the safest. That's just what I'll say. Okay.
I agree.
Next pick?
I'll go with another offensive mind, another guy that's had a really good year with what he's done, and that is Joe Brady. Just a guy, obviously, he doesn't have the head coaching experience, but at the same time, I want to give someone in there who can work with Caleb Williams.
All right, I will go Liam Cohen then, the offensive coordinator with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And my next pick, this is where it gets interesting. The next pick, you know what? I'll save that name. I could save that name. I'll then go with a guy I know he did not have a good relationship with this quarterback the first time, but maybe this could be different. Maybe he learned something. I'll go Brian Flores if I'm making the hire. So Vrabel, Liam Cohen, and Brian Flores are my first 3 picks. Stu goes Ben Johnson and Joe Brady. Next pick.
Okay, my next pick, I'll go Cliff Kingsbury, someone who has, I think, done a really good job with Jaden Daniels. I think he could do the same with Caleb. Of course, being a head coach again, he'd be a second-time head coach, so we'll see how that goes. So I will go Kingsbury first.
And he's also worked with Caleb before that 1 year at USC.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. This is definitely where it gets more interesting for sure. Someone who is a hot commodity, I feel like, has a pretty good chance to get a job. Now, he's not an offensive guy. He's a defensive guy. But I think Aaron Glenn, I think he's a guy that could become a pretty good coach in this league. Again, once you start getting down this list a little, the options, thin out a bit. But I will go Glenn with my next pick.
So I don't think Kellen Moore should be a head coach, so I'm not picking Kellen Moore. Marcus Freeman just signed a contract extension. So I'm going to give you 2 names. Both, I don't think these names will end up getting the job. But I will go Dan Lanning at Oregon. You try to rip him out from the college game. And then I thought about going Bill Belichick here. I thought potentially you rip him off UNC and boom, you put him right in there. Not going to do that because I think Bill's committed to UNC. But I heard Aikman speculate this last night. And also, I know Florio speculated it. The 49ers have said, no, it's not happening. But I'll speculate it again because I like speculation. I like to speculate on speculation. I'm going to say trade Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, 2 good ones. 2 good ones I did not think about.
Well, the other options, honestly, I didn't think
know.
about them in the moment. I had other names written down, and I'm like, man, these names are kind of rancid, so I didn't want to go there.
So I have one more pick left. This is my last one here.
Slim pickings.
It is slim pickings. You did mention 2 of the names before, Moore and Freeman, Kellen Moore and Marcus Freeman. Again, Freeman just signed that extension. I don't think he's in play. I guess he could be. You never know. Kellen Moore, we'll see. I'll go Lincoln Riley, and I know what he's done at USC has not been great.
Oh, boy.
And it would be probably a tough sell, but again, it's a really good offensive mind that has worked with Caleb Williams, maybe for better or worse, but my last pick, I'll go Lincoln Riley.
So here are the picks. 1, next coach of the Bears. I take Mike Vrabel. Then Stupak. Stu. He goes Ben Johnson and Joe Brady. I take Liam Cohen and Brian Flores. Stu then rocks and rolls with Cliff Kingsbury and Aaron Glenn. I then say Dan Lanning and Kyle Shanahan, and Stu ends up with Lincoln Riley. Stinking Lincoln with Lincoln Riley. Could you imagine if they end up hiring? I don't think 3 years ago that we met with a standing ovation. Now people, I think, would be eviscerating the Bears with how it's played on out this year for Lincoln Riley at the last 2 years at USC. But there is that connection with Caleb Williams, so it does feel as if the Bears aren't going to get the right. Like, to me, at this point, it should be either Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel. you go with the experienced offensive coordinator who's unknown on what he's going to be as a head coach, or Mike Vrabel, who I think is the safest hire. If it's not one of those two, I really do believe it's going to be someone that has a connection with Caleb. Right? Could be Cliff Kingsbury, could be Lincoln Riley, or you could just go the young offensive coordinator, whether it's Liam Cohen or Joe Brady. But that, to me, is the best job in the market, the Bears. I know the ownership situation's a disaster, but you got Caleb Williams. So if you can't get Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel, like, where's Ben Johnson going if he doesn't go to Chicago? Now, I don't think it's crazy that Ben Johnson waits another year, too. I really don't. He's a wild card. His decision-making, I don't think anyone right now can really predict where Ben Johnson's going and feel good about it. Seems like he's close to the vest, and whatever you think he's going to do, it's not going to happen because we just did this last year with the Commanders. All righty, the Mustangs of SMU, they're in the playoff. They go to Happy Valley this weekend. Kobe Wilson, their linebacker, who started his college career at my alma mater, Temple. He's going to join us next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Hour number 3 of our radio program. That's right. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. We got not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 college football playoff games, and they all get started on Friday. And then coming on Saturday, we got a triple header, and the triple header kicks off with SMU going to Happy Valley to do battle with the Penn State Nittany Lions. And now joining me is a senior linebacker from the SMU Mustangs, who are in the college football playoff. And that's a man that started his college career at my alma mater, Temple, now balling out with SMU. And that is Kobe Wilson, kind enough to join us right now. Kobe, appreciate the time. Congratulations on making the playoff, and how you been?
Appreciate you, Zach, for having me. And I've been good, man, just enjoying the ride so far we got going.
So you guys find out you make the college football playoff. You've had now 2 weeks to prepare for Penn State. Just kind of give me the vibe around the program right now, as you're still a few days away, but we're all waiting in great anticipation for Saturday.
We're all extremely excited, of course, but we all have to kind of stay level-headed and realize, like, we were chosen for a reason, and just stay humble as well. So the vibe has been very electric, as everybody's, like, practicing with more intensity and locking in a lot more, but we have to stay level-headed and not make the moment too big for ourselves.
When that Selection Sunday happened, right, and you guys come on back and you just lost at the end on a big field goal by Clemson to lose in the ACC championship game, just what was that moment like when you walked off the field and then you had to wait a little bit, obviously, to find out what was going to happen if you guys were going to make the college football playoff? Were you guys confident that you were going to make it, or was it a little bit worrisome because it was out of your hands?
I ain't gonna lie, a lot of us were very worrisome, especially myself. I'm like, I already knew the disrespect SMU was getting, like, prior to the ACC championship. Like, people ranked us last in preseason polls of the ACC, so I'm like, they're not gonna respect us. But Coach Lashley told the group, was like, hey, guys, like, this is out of our hands. Like, just have faith and just control what you can control. And I felt like him telling us that had us just stay real steering ground, and it worked out in our favor.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is right, but I remember putting this out there when the score was 31-14 entering that fourth quarter. I go, you know, the committee's going to put Alabama in over SMU. I feel like the fact that you guys made it a game and you scored those 2 touchdowns and had the field goal and were able to tie it up against Clemson, then you lose on a heartbreaker 56-yard field goal. I think that fourth quarter effort really did get you guys in. Have you ever thought about that? If you guys didn't come back to make that game close, and if you did get blown out, maybe we're not talking to you today.
Yeah, I think about that, like, daily. And I also think about, like, what if you missed the field goal? What if SMU Mustangs are ACC champs? But it's like, you can't leave it up to thinking, you know what I'm saying? So what happened is what happened. And, like, because of us and us getting in the playoff, I feel like it's a blessing, and we're meant to be here now.
And that showed a lot of toughness. And we all know you guys are a damn good football team. Up until that point, the only loss on the season was BYU. But when you guys were down 31-14, how did you guys come together and make that a game of the ACC championship?
Well, we just went into halftime where we just basically said, like, yo, we're shooting ourselves in the foot here. Like, they're not doing anything special. Like, they're running the same plays on offense. And, kind of we had some miscommunication things that happened. But we knew what kind of team we were, and we knew, like, we were not going to give up because, like, we fight for each other every single down, every single play. So we're like, we have one decision to make, and that's either go out here and play our butts off or go out here and give up. And we weren't going to give up because that's not the brand we show at SMU, and that's not the culture here.
When you were in the offseason and you guys were working to get ready for the season, what type of team did you guys think you had, Kobe?
So prior to coming off that championship last year, I knew we had what it takes to win. I already knew that already. And just bringing in some more guys and having those guys bond with more groups, I felt like the team we had was a team that can compete with anybody. Like you said, like we lost to BYU prior to Clemson by 3 points, and we lost Clemson by 3 points. So all of our losses combined is really 6 points. So I feel like we can compete with anybody, and we can make any game a game. And nobody has a more talented room or a more stacked roster than we do. So I took that into account in the offseason, and I still believe it's true right now.
And you look around the country, right? Texas, they've been in the Big 12 forever. They go to the SEC. They were in their conference championship game. Oregon was in the Pac-12. They go to the Big 10. They win the conference. You guys, first year in the ACC, coming over from the American, you guys end up getting to the conference championship game now in the playoff. Why was that transition? I don't know if I want to say it was easy, but easier maybe than what people thought it was going to be for SMU this year.
I'm not going to say it was easy, but we made it look easy. Like, it took all hard work and grit this offseason. And our strength coach preaches grit and just doing one more extra, going the extra mile. So we made it look easy because the offseason we put in all the hard work plus some, but the transition was more so a mental thing in our aspect. We knew we had the guys, and we knew ACC is more physical in the trenches, just like the SEC. But we just knew, like, you can't measure the heart. You can't measure that. So once you go out there and just play with that heart, we could do whatever.
And you guys clearly play with a lot of heart, and you guys are a tough football team. That's why I laugh at people saying going into this one, and you can pick whoever you want, oh, SMU, they're going to Happy Valley. It's freezing cold. It's probably going to snow. This team isn't tough enough to go into those conditions. I know you've heard it the last 2 weeks, but how do you kind of process and react to everything that's being said about going outside in Penn State?
It's hard, man, like seeing that stuff on social media. Coach calls it rat poisoning, like don't listen to the media, and he tells us that very early in the week. So, but, some guys like myself, I see it a lot of times because I'm just scrolling, but I take that as a chip on my shoulder and as disrespect. And that's one thing that motivates me more than anything. And, me being from Temple, like your alum, I played in cold weather plenty of times, and, they teach that toughness. So I feel like we can compete with anybody in any kind of environment, any kind of stance. And they got their 11 guys. We got our 11 guys. It's going to be us versus them at the end of the day.
Yeah, it got a little bit cold at North Broad Street and down on Diamond Street, right?
Yeah, it did.
And that practice field, it freezes real quickly. It's
easy,
that's not fun.
Easy. Yeah, nah.
How about the growth of your career? So the first few years you were at Temple, the last 2 you were at SMU. I know the transfer portal now, it makes it easier to jump around, but you never know if it's going to work or not. How have you grown from a player your first year in college football to now?
I felt like I've learned a lot about myself. And in order to grow as a player, I had to grow as a man first. So I kind of took into account what I was doing wrong at an early age in my career. And I realized I wasn't as locked in as I thought I was. And so in order for me to get to where I wanted to be, I had to lock in here. So I talked to Coach Crum and Coach Simons. They're the ones who brought me on. And they're just telling me, like, what's one word that you want to achieve this season? I told them consistency. So I practiced that. I preached that every single day. I wrote that on my mirror so I could look at it and just tell myself, yo, like, being consistent could be talent and also hard work, because that one guy who stays the course the whole time can beat somebody who's rolling out like a roller coaster. So I kind of just took that one word and ran with it, and now I'm here today.
If I were to tell you before the start of the season that you guys would be in the college football playoff, would you have believed it?
Yeah, man.
Now, I gotta ask it because a lot of people, I give 10,000 predictions. I didn't have SMU in the playoff before the season started, but man, in like the last month and a half of a season, I picked you guys to win the ACC after that because I was liking what you were seeing, and I kept feeling even with your wins, you guys were flying under the radar.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like, I didn't know how the whole college football playoff setting worked and all that stuff, but like I did have us winning the ACC prior to that, prior to the college football playoff things. But now that I figured it out, mid-season, I'm like, oh yeah, we definitely can make the run. Like, I didn't say that in the beginning of the season, but I knew what we had in this room, and it was a possibility for sure.
How about your quarterback? Because I don't know if you guys knew what you had. I know at the beginning of the season you were going back and forth, but eventually this became Kevin Jennings' team. Just how about what he's been able to provide to the squad?
Man, Kevin Jennings, we see it all the time in practice. So we knew this kid was electric when I got here. And it's like I'm seeing this dude on scout team my first year. I'm like, yo, this dude's making guys miss like this. Like, what are we doing? But, Kevin has grown tremendously. And I think a big part of that was Preston Stone. Preston Stone took him under his wing and taught him a lot. And I feel like Preston doesn't get enough credit for that because Preston has taught Kevin how to be resilient, be calm, cool, collective. And Kevin looks up to Preston in that same way. And they just done a tremendous job, especially Kevin. Like, he's doing his big one right now. So I'm just so proud of him. And he's going to keep making a reach for it.
How would you describe, just wondering, Kobe Wilson, Brashad Smith to someone who maybe has never seen him play?
Man, I say Brashard Smith is one of the most electric college football players that hasn't been talked about enough. Like, you talk about those guys, Travis, Ashton, whoever, but Brashard Smith, for his time to be moved to running back his first year and the numbers he's putting up, I think that's somebody you got to put in that conversation along with those guys because he's doing remarkable, and the moves he's making is unheard of. He's a rare bred athlete. So,
and here's the other thing, right? This is a stage where now everyone's going to be watching. Like, people clearly watching the ACC championship game, but now we're in the playoff. It's a different animal. Do you guys sense? I know you want to win the game, and that's what you're focused on. But if you do that, you guys kind of make a statement for SMU to the rest of the nation about what you guys are capable. Do you kind of carry that with pride about the opportunity that you have coming up this weekend and how many of these doubters that you could prove wrong?
We do. We always do. But we always try to stay humble as well. So we do that with every game. We try to play with the intention of showing the SMU brand as well as the culture. And we don't just let one game define us. Like that last game, we didn't let it define us. So we have to move on to the next one and just show what the brand of SMU is. And that's just playing physical, playing fast, and having fun out there.
Now, Penn State's got a talented team. When you prepare for that offense, they got a heck of a quarterback in Drew Aller. Tyler Warren's an absolute beast. They got really good running backs, too. What's the first thing that jumps out to you when you're getting ready to prepare for this Penn State offense coming your way on Saturday?
What we take into account is what their head coach has said about their Dairy Queen offense, where it shows all these types of motions, all these types of shifts. But at the end of the day, like they're doing the same old. So what comes into my mind is an offense we got to get aligned up to, and they do a great job at stemming, hiding, and all this other stuff. So we try not to get caught in the window dressing, but I feel like their offense is very dynamic, but it's not something we haven't seen before, and we can definitely lock in and give them a good run for their money.
I want to take you back when you made that decision to go to SMU, when you hit the transfer portal and you were leaving Temple. Coach Lashley, just what were the first impressions that really stood out to him as he's becoming a big name now in this sport?
Well, what stood out to me about him was he was from the start real with me and just let me know ahead of time, like, hey, like, you come here, like, nothing's going to be given. You got to earn everything. And he told me about, like, what could possibly be happening with the conferences. But what I say about Lashley is he's real genuine, real truthful. And he sat down and talked to me and my mother at lunch by ourselves. So that just shows you the type of man he is. He cares about not just his coaching staff, but his players as well. And he shows it every single day. And he was a little sick this week. So, we kind of felt bad for him. And we try to show him that love because we love him as well, just like he loves us. And it's like a whole family in this building. So we're just so appreciative of him.
No, if you get him a win on Saturday, I think he'll be okay. I don't think he'll need the chicken soup, all right?
Yeah, he won't.
All righty, last thing I'll ask you. All right, you have the college football playoff game and wrap it up with Kobe Wilson. He's going to be on the field making a bunch of tackles, leads SMU in tackles. Coming up on Saturday up against Penn State. You can tune in at noon Eastern. The journey's coming to an end, right? If you guys lose, the college career, right, is over. You've been in college for 5 years. Just how crazy is it that you're already at this point where you're a senior and the stops that you had along this way? Is it like surreal how quickly the time has flown by for you?
Yeah, and time flies, man, when you're having fun. And the one thing they told me is the one thing you can't buy is time. And I finally realized that now. Like, I used to take advantage of it. Like, man, I'm young, I'm 18, I'm 19, but man, now I'm 23, man, and it happens so quickly. So I try to take that into account every single day and just enjoy every single moment, the wins, the losses, just me getting up in the morning, me being able to practice, because a lot of people aren't able to practice right now, and a lot of people aren't going to bowl games, and a lot of people's college seasons is done. So I'm just so thankful to God, to the coaches for bringing me on, and everybody else, because I get to live my dreams out right here.
Well, hey, I wish you nothing but the best. Good luck coming up on Saturday. I'll be rooting for you because I'm not a big fan of Penn State, so go get them, all right? We appreciate you doing this.
Appreciate you, man.
There you go. Kobe Wilson joining us on the show. Man, that was a fun, impressive conversation. And you have a lot of people down at SMU heading into this one up against Penn State. I think all the pressure is on Penn State. And the fact that this team is here, first year in the ACC, they get to the conference championship game, they almost win the thing, and now they're in the college football playoff. They continue to prove the doubters wrong. But if you want, right, the cherry on top of the sundae, getting a victory up against Penn State would really be something. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Let me go to Mike in Washington real quickly. Wants to talk about the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. Mike, what's happening? Mike, go ahead. All righty. Mike, I guess, is going through that Dairy Queen drive-thru that Kobe was talking about. All righty, let's do this. We'll take a break. We'll come on back. We'll update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We'll get to a news brief next. We will be back in 5 minutes.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Alrighty, let's start things off with Raheem Morris. This is Raheem Morris on the play of Kirk Cousins as of late.
He's got to play better. And, obviously you got to go back, you got to be able to look at everything. But, he wants to play better. He's got to play better. We got to find a way to get him to play better. And obviously we'll get to work tomorrow. And that's a part of our process, right? You go, you look at the tape, you review it with the people that needs to be reviewed with. We get all the coordinators in the room. We'll talk with everybody. And we got to play better at the quarterback position.
Sounds like a coach that's getting ready to make a quarterback change. That's what it sounded like to me. His quarterback finally threw a touchdown for the first time in 5 games, and they're taking that as a victory. He also has 9 interceptions, but Raheem Morris was asked about the future of Kirk Cousins and if he's definitely going to be starting on Sunday up against the Giants.
Are you prepared to replace him with Michael Penix?
We got everybody in our roster for a reason, right? We got so much to get better at, and those things will always be discussed. That's just the nature of the beast in football. It's just so heavily talked about it at the quarterback position because there's only one guy out there. So for us, man, our mentality is to find a way to win the next game. That's just the mentality that we're going to have.
That was a lot of, I'm not going to answer your question. That's what I just heard right there. So they're just coming back from the game from last night. They got him probably early this morning. Usually I feel like the coach meets with the media the day after the game, but it is a Tuesday. Tuesday is usually an off day. Stu, if they're making this quarterback change, and it's a short week, so I'm sure they were in the building today, but I haven't seen anywhere that Raheem Morris did speak today. If they're going to be making this quarterback change, you can maybe think it over today, but you got to know by tomorrow. So now, hold on. Raheem Morris, this is just, I guess he's speaking right now. Raheem Morris did not answer if Kirk Cousins is still your starting quarterback. We just got back. We still have to go through that process. All those things will happen over the course of the week. We didn't play well enough at the quarterback position. That was I guess he's speaking right now. Isn't that crazy? I'm just like, is he going to speak? Yeah, I would think so, but I haven't seen anything yet. And maybe it's because they got back so late, coming back from Vegas. So that could be the possibility. But I'm going through it, and I'm like, oh, man, he didn't say anything. And then, boom, Josh Kendall, the Athletic, has the availability right now. And Ian Rappaport even chimed in and said Raheem Morris leaves the door open. So here is from Taryn Wack. I believe that's how you say her last name. She's a beat writer for the Falcons. Falcons head coach Raheem Morris said why he won't switch to quarterback Michael Penix. It's just an initial plan on how you want to go about your business, how you want things to happen. But also, we have to win. We're going to do whatever is best for us to win as many games as we can this season. So this is sloppy. He still won't give an official answer. Myles Garrett, sports reporter and anchor of Fox 5 Atlanta, did not give an official answer today on who the Falcons starting QB will be against the Giants on Sunday. I don't know, Stu. You've seen a lot of sloppiness, right? You being a Raider fan.
Yes.
You got back. You had the flight. How do you not have this decision made? Is Raheem Morris just, here's a question, 855-212-4227. Is Raheem Morris just a puppet? This seems like a coach. It's not even his decision. Because if it is your decision, coach, what the heck were you doing on that flight? Yeah, you had a whole flight back from Vegas.
It's been 18 hours after the game. It's not like it's been 3 hours.
This is crazy.
It's almost a day.
How far is a flight? Let's see. How far is a flight from Vegas to Atlanta? What'd you guess, Bean?
I would guess like 4.5.
3 hours and 48 minutes.
Wow.
I don't know when they left. Maybe they left this morning.
Maybe.
But still, you had to have a decision made before going to bed. So let's say if you're Raheem Morris, I'm not saying you announce it after the game, but you go to bed and you probably think in your mind, okay, we got to play Michael Penix Jr. this week. Then you wake up. I'm sure you have the same feeling. I know you got to have meetings, right? He's got to meet with Terry Fontenot. He's got to meet with Arthur Blank. Well, what the heck are we doing? This isn't 1903, okay? You got Zoom. You got a telephone. You got this thing, called an email. You can have these conversations. There's ways to have these conversations. This is on, and I usually don't suggest this because I don't love a meddling owner. Doesn't Arthur Blank just have to sit down, Terry Fontenot, and sit down Raheem Morris and say, guys, what do you want to do this week? And if they say start Kirk Cousins, he has to say, no, it's time to play the kid. It's time to go to Michael Penix Jr. And I also hate to say this, Stu, but it's just the way that I feel. I was done with Kirk Cousins before he even took a snap for the Falcons. Because, when they signed him, it was a good move, right? And in theory, 4 years, contract, you get him in there, team could win the division with him. But once they draft Michael Penix Jr., it was just right out the window. Right out the window. So I won't play any more Raheem Morris just because we had that breaking news right as we went to Raheem Morris from last night. But Raheem Morris is still not given any answers whatsoever on who's going to be playing quarterback. And once again, what did I say to start the show? Incompetent organizations making competent decisions. And this is another incompetent decision where the organization can't even make a decision on who your quarterback's going to be. Do you think they'll give you an answer by tomorrow, Stu?
I think we'll know tomorrow morning. Late tomorrow morning, we'll know.
I want to say you're probably right. Because, public pressure, I think, does matter here. And I'm just going to assume here, and I've now done this long enough where I feel pretty good on my assumptions, where the reaction to Raheem Morris basically giving you a no answer is going to even amplify this situation and make it worse. And more people are going to call for Michael Penix Jr. And the Falcons seem like an organization that caved to public pressure. They do. Why? Or pressure internally. Like Arthur Blank, why didn't you hire Bill Belichick? Oh, because Robert Kraft told me not to, and Terry Fontenot and Rich McKay told me not to. Trust yourself, Arthur Blank. But now with this decision not being made or being left open, could you see an organization maybe try to play some? You're playing the Giants. Like, if you have to play mind games up against the Giants, you already lost the game before you even played the game. And that's up against the New York stinking Giants, for crying out loud. So I don't think you need to play these games. I don't think this is, we're going to not make the announcement and then we'll have the Giants guessing. It's the Giants. The Giants are they're usually called Big Blue. They've been a big dud this year, right? They've been terrible. What was Mraz's podcast used to be called, One Giant Turd or something? That's what the Giants season has been. One giant turd. So you don't need to play these mind games. Make a decision. But they're incapable of making a decision. I'm going to say Michael Penix Jr. is announced as a starter tomorrow, Stu. I know you say a decision's made tomorrow. Do you think it's going to be Michael Penix Jr. or do you think it's going to be Kirk Cousins?
I know I said Kirk Cousins earlier in the show, but after I don't know. I'm starting to get vibes now that it's going to be Penix. I hope it's Penix. I want to see Penix play. So
this is a disaster.
It is.
You know who's laughing right now? Bill Belichick. He's at Chapel Bill right now going, these guys, I was down 28-3 to them in the Super Bowl. And these jabronis didn't even hire me. And now they went with Raheem Morris. You know, I'm going to go back to my 24-year-old girlfriend and talk about this transfer portal recruit that we got. All right. Feeling pretty good about UNC. You know, go Bill. Beat Duke. Let's go to Jerry Rice, the GOAT, on the Morning Roast 95.7, The Game in San Francisco. Throws a little shade at my BFF, Deebo Samuel.
That ball that he dropped, okay, after you complain about not getting that many touches, you cannot drop the football. I mean, you know, because everybody is going to get down on you and they're going to come after you. So, you know, I never said anything about not getting touches or anything like that. I just work.
I love that from Jerry Rice. I do. And he's 1,000% right. I was laughing watching that San Francisco 49ers game because Deebo had such an attitude when speaking to the media, right? Giving those one-word answers, the typical Deebo Samuel crap that he always does. And he's bitching on Twitter about the lack of targets, and then you get a ball that's thrown right in your breadbasket, hits you right in the hands, and you drop it. It's like the movie The Replacements. You know, he looked like Clifford Franklin. You know what they made Clifford Franklin do in that movie? They put the sticky stuff on his hands. And he looked like he did something with an elephant, as Clifford Franklin said in the movie The Replacements. I saw The Replacements was on in the studio the other day. It was on the top TV. I almost just wanted to pop up the sound and listen to it and watch it. Replacement's one of my favorite movies, but it was on when we were on the air, so I couldn't do that. All right, let's go to Brandon Graham. He was on the morning show on Sports Radio 94 WIP, Joe DeCamara, and former Eagles fullback John Ritchie. Brandon Graham, could he return this year for the Eagles?
Anything is possible, so that's how I'm gonna feel. That's how I'm gonna fill it in. But just know we working, trying to see what happens. We got to get there, and so I guess I'll be ready to tell you that when I get there.
Understood. Fair enough.
Do you see the smile on his face?
I do.
Just saying.
That would be so sweet. And then, boy, go out there, put your left hand again on that ball, man. The one that you hurt, it's like, boy.
And that was the question, was in regards to could he return if the Eagles made the Super Bowl. The same thing was asked to Aiden Hutchinson. Could he return if the Lions make the Super Bowl? This on the Squeeze podcast with Taylor Lautner.
I'm on track for my goal of returning for the Super Bowl. And so I keep telling all the boys when I see him in the facility, I'm like, you guys just got to get there. And I promise you, I'm going to be back, you know? And I tell people that. My mom was like, I remember we were talking yesterday, and she's like, but Aiden, like what if you don't get back? Like what if you can't? And I was like, there's no other way.
I love that. It's like, I am possessed. If the Lions get to the Super Bowl, I don't care if my leg is basically fallen off. I will be on the field, and I will do whatever it takes to inflict pain on the other team in the Super Bowl and win a championship. Aiden Hutchinson sounds like a robot there. Here is Dan Campbell. He was on with Costa and Jansen at 97.1, The Ticket in Detroit. Dan Campbell, Mr. Potty Mouth, listen up.
You know, what happens is you get used to eating filet, and I'm talking to all of us, and well, everything's good, life's good, you know, but you forgot what it was like when you had nothing and you ate your molded bread, you know, and it was just fine, and it gave you everything you needed.
So the best part about it, and you can't see it, obviously, because, folks, you listen in on the radio, but the moment he cursed, John Jansen, former NFL offensive lineman, played at Michigan too, friend of the show. He slammed that dump button sitting right in front of him to have the delay kick in and drop the curse from the segment. So it made me think about something. And I'll put you on the spot here, Stu and Marco as well. I know we've all had to use the dump button. Is there one moment in particular that you remember when you were on the air that you had to use the dump button? Marco, any moment in particular? Was there like a big viral moment here that you had to dump or something like that?
That I had to personally dump? No.
Okay.
No.
Nothing really? I'm surprised.
That I personally had to do? No.
Okay, how about not personally?
Not personally. Didn't you have to dump one of your producers?
Yeah, that is true. And let me tell you something. I had cat-like reflexes. I slammed the dump button.
Yeah.
And it was so weird. So Hickey was talking about Russell Westbrook. And out of all the times that I've put Hickey maybe in like an uncomfortable situation and I'm just like kind of chipping away, he just brings up Russell Westbrook and he goes, that mother bleeping guy. And I'm like, whoa! And I was like a little heftier back then. And you just see my stomach like start jiggling as I'm just like leaning back in the chair. Whoa! And I slammed the dump button. But it was just out of nowhere. Like absolutely out of nowhere. Like Maggie once, I remember she was on the air and she cursed and she just let an F-bomb go. Like, okay, that was a slip of the tongue. Hickey, it was just 0 to 100 real quick. Out of nowhere. He was like, yeah, that Russell Westbrook guy, that mother bleeper. I'm like, whoa! Stu, anything that pops to mind, a dump button?
Not personally, but when I was working with someone else who works here, Billy Jockalone, someone cursed one time and you slammed it. This was like times 5. He just like punched the board basically. Yeah. And I was like, oh, geez, did he break it?
So I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again just because it has to do with this situation. I was in Philadelphia the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and I was doing postgame on 97.5 The Fanatic. And, right, you know, postgame show, you get about a bunch of drunks sometimes, and then you get people that, right, they try to prank you, whatever. So I'm sitting there doing the show, and, right, weekend programming, a postgame after an Eagles game. I think they lost. And guy's making a serious point about the Eagles. And then he goes, hey, Zach, by the way, I bleeped your mother. And I just start laughing because it was a point about Carson Wentz and then, oh, Zach, I bleeped your mother. So I press the dump button. My producer presses the dump button as well. Don't think about it again. So after the show, getting back in my car and driving back to my apartment, it's like 20 minutes away from the studio. And my mom calls me. And she goes, that was some phone call about that guy. I go, you heard that? And she goes, yeah, I was listening online. So I thought maybe to myself, oh, maybe it just dumps on the air, but it doesn't dump online or on a stream or something like that. But my antenna was up because you would think it would dump the online stream. So I said, you know, Ma, let me give you a call back. So I called my boss over there and I said, hey, just to let you know, someone called. They said what they said. No issue, whatever, it happens. I pressed the dump button. The producer pressed the dump button. My mom claims that she heard it. Now, the boss basically said, nah, it's probably just a stream thing. It didn't get on the air. So I was like, okay. The next day, right, it was Sunday, afternoon drive host comes on, Mike Missinelli. And I'm listening. And it's the same guy. And someone says they bleeped your mother on the air. You remember.
Okay.
So I hear the voice and I'm sitting there and he's talking. It's the same shtick, same thing. And then he goes, hey, Mike, by the way, I bleeped your mother. They go to dump it. Didn't dump. That station does Sixers and Flyers games. I guess they had a game on that Saturday night before. They took the dump off for the live broadcast, and they never put the dump back on.
Wow.
So I get a call.
Wow.
I'm listening in the car. Let's say it was, 4:15 in the afternoon. That call happens at 4:20. I got a call from the boss. Now we believe you. We just heard that with Mike. I go, see, I wasn't lying. So that got on the air.
That's a problem.
Yeah, that was a rough one. Now
can't have the dump button not working.
To put a cherry on top of the sundae, the next week I'm doing postgame. See, we have a good call screener system here. When you call in, your number pops up, and then if you say something stupid, we could just block you, or we could put notes like, oh, this person did this and that, flagged, blah, blah, blah. Their system was antiquated. It just the name and whatever, and then there was no log history of it. So the guy kept on calling up with different names.
Right.
The next week later, another postgame, I kind of realize that it's the guy again, and he's on the air with me. And he goes, hey, and he stuttered, and I go, nope. You're getting dropped. I go, I know who this was, and you're not talking about my mother. So that was the end of that.
Hey, he got it in twice. Good for him.
Yeah. He was on 3 times.
Persistence.
Well, was that a joke about this situation?
No.
You said he got it in twice?
See, you went to different lengths. I wasn't going there.
Okay.
I wasn't going there.
Yeah, especially when Marco tells us last week that he's never cursed around his kids. So I wouldn't think your brain would make a joke.
Not yet. I do preface that. Not yet. I'm sure it'll happen.
When does that happen?
I'm hoping it happens when I
get older?
I'm hoping it happens when I do it on purpose. See, you can't go to the well too many times for certain things. I want shock value. The first time that when they hear that,
Dad's mad.
Yeah,
Take cover.
there's only so many times that you can do certain things. You still need shock value. There's still an idea that there's certain things that they're young enough that I raise my voice. Their back stiffens. That's important. I need that.
I'm also going to be realistic with you, Marco, and I mean this in a positive way. If I was your child, and I know how you just speak with us at like a medium tone.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like yelling at someone, and even if it's just like a little notch above, if I was a child, I would be afraid. I don't think Marco needs to curse. But when you do curse that one day, I think the jaw is going to hit the floor. Your kid may have a fractured jaw because the jaw is going to be on the floor.
Which is part of the reason why I don't do it. One, because there's no reason to teach them that, and that's unnecessary, and they're young, so there's no reason. But also part of it is, yes, there's got to be stages. I don't raise my voice to a high level. I don't feel I need to. If I have to get there, you'll understand it. I'm doing it on purpose.
But
there
even
are
right
levels.
now, I'd be a little afraid of you if you're my
Good.
parent.
I want you to be, like I said, if I raise my voice and your back doesn't stiffen as you're my child, I screwed up. That's my fault.
Yeah.
I need to be able to utilize that. Is it going to be forever? No, but I need to do that when you're younger. There's got to be lessons that are taught every step of the way.
Your kids are what, 10?
10, 4, and 1. The 1-year-old doesn't care. The 4-year-old is starting to hear me get a little louder with her because she's understanding more.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to yell at a 3-year-old. It doesn't make any sense if she doesn't understand what I'm yelling at her about.
I'm going to prognosticate here. I think the 10-year-old's going to be the one that you curse at first.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And I feel like if out of any of your children, just what I know about your 10-year-old with how long we've worked together, I think your 10-year-old may give it to you back. He's a wise ass.
He is a wise ass, yes.
You've said that.
100%. And he's a lot like me in that regard.
Yes.
So I get that. I'm not going to deny that. But he's also smart enough to realize that he can push. When I get loud, he gets quiet.
Oh, okay.
He's real smart about that. Okay. Again, there's levels. His job is to push the line. My job is to hold the line. I'll give you a little bit of space. When you go too far, I'll let you know.
Take out the mother bleeping garbage.
Nah, that's what I'm saying.
You, Dad.
Nah. What's I'm saying? When the first one drops, it's going to be for a reason. It's going to be for a necessary, unless I slip. It's going to be for a good reason that I feel I utilize it there in that spot.
So even when you're watching a Giant game or a Yankee, like the Yankees blow the World Series Game 5, no curses coming out of your mouth?
No.
That's impressive.
I'm angry.
So does Marco, are you just seen walking around your neighborhood just cursing because you got to let it out outside? Like when the Yankees lose a game in the World Series?
I didn't. No, I didn't. I might have gone for a walk, my normal walk, so maybe, but I keep it in. It's not good. That's, the ulcers that'll kill me at some point, but I keep it in.
I could see the neighbors. They probably look at Marco as if you're a petting zoo animal when you're walking around the neighborhood because you're just sitting there. Bleep this, bleep that, bleep this, bleep that.
I don't think I walk like a crazy person. But in my mind, there's a lot of
built-up frustration.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. Yeah.
All righty. We will take a time out here on the Mother Bleepin' Zach Gelb Show. Let's get the latest Mother Bleepin' update. Here he is, the Mother Bleepin' man, El Capitan, Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
So Zach, just the second ever NBA Cup, Thunder and Bucks, $500,000 bonus to each player on the winning team. Giannis Antetokounmpo making it clear that bonus is worth a lot to plenty of players on his squad, especially end of the bench.
Some players might not make that money ever in their career. So it's definitely, you play for them too. It's this ongoing joke that we have within our locker room. We say we play for the young guys because this money will mean a lot to them, but it will mean a lot to everybody. It's a lot of money.
The NBA also announced a new All-Star Game format this year. 4 teams, 1 night, 3 8-player All-Star teams, and the winner of the Rising Stars Challenge. Lions head coach Dan Campbell still fired up, looking to put to bed their loss to the Bills. This courtesy of 97-1 The Ticket in Detroit.
We got a bad taste in our mouth. We got kicked around the other day. We lost a few guys, and you know what? It's exactly what we needed. This is exactly what we needed. So we're going to bounce back. We're going to respond. We got guys that are about to have an unbelievable opportunity here, and we will play the game any way needed to win.
From baseball, the Yankees reportedly got a former MVP in Cody Bellinger, along with cash from the Cubs in exchange for pitching prospect Cody Poteet. I'm Marco Belletti.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God, we're back again.
Now, hold on. Hold up just, wait a minute. So the Yankees have traded for Cody Bellinger from the Cubs. As the Yankees try to continue to build up their team after losing Juan Soto, I saw that they announced, Stu, today that they got officially announced Max Fried. They've traded for Cody Bellinger, and they got Devin Williams as well. So you got to be happy, right? So far, even though you lost Soto this offseason, and you're now your little brother to the New York Mets, you got to be happy with what the Yankees have been able to do, correct?
Yes, very. They have one or two more moves, and they'll be in very good shape.
Now, I just saw a photo of a stunning woman. And this woman has a photo next to her of Giancarlo Stanton and Cody Bellinger. And from Divine Sports Gospel, and I'm assuming that this is correct. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I'm just reading the tweet. Cody Bellinger's wife is Giancarlo Stanton's ex-girlfriend. Now, Giancarlo Nosti Poi Stoparlo is still on the New York Yankees, and he had a pretty big few moments in the postseason. Now, I have a connection to the wife. I once sat behind her at a Yankee game. I had seats right from our company, right to the home of the Yankees. It was 10 rows off the plate. And there is a beautiful, and I mean a beautiful woman sitting in front of us. Looked like a model. And I'm at the game. Right? And she's there. My buddy and I were like, oh my God, this girl's like gorgeous. She's sitting with like 2 or 3 other guys. And the next day, or like 2 days later, her face is on the back page of a newspaper. Either it was revealing that she's Giancarlo Stanton's girlfriend or they broke up. I forget what the story was. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know we were sitting in front of what was Giancarlo Stanton's girlfriend or the ex. She ended up, if this story is true, marrying Cody Bellinger. It got to be a little bit awkward. I've been in that situation where you see an ex somewhere or you end up knowing someone that dated someone and then you run into their ex or they have to see their ex. That's always an awkward situation. But Cody Bellinger's wife is Giancarlo Stanton's ex-girlfriend. That is really something. So, it's got to be interesting, right, Stu? First press conference for Cody. That's got to be something. He dropped. Jeez Louise. I saw a name, and I know he's very impatient, but I saw a name on the callers, and I was like, oh, I haven't heard from this guy in a while. I've talked about him on the air before, and I wondered if everything was okay with him. Because Scott in California last year called me every week in the Vikings season and said you don't give the Vikings enough credit. And the Vikings are 7-10. So I saw Scott in California was on the line. And Stu, I'm shocked that Scott hasn't called us once this year up until now because the Vikings only have 2 losses this year and they're sitting there at 12-2. And Scott would always go, you never give the Vikings credit. You never give us credit. And I go, well, because I don't think you guys are going anywhere this year. And this year I've been complimentary to the Vikings. Even though I did a Sports Minute today how the 2 best teams in the NFC are the Eagles and the Lions. For third, I don't believe in the Vikings or the Packers. So I would put more stock in a team like Tampa Bay or the Rams going on a surprise run, to be the 3rd best team in the NFC. I'm Zach Gelb, and that's the Sports Minute. So that's pretty much what I did. But I got very excited when I saw, right as I was coming back from break, when I was going through the names of the callers to my left, that Scott in California was there. I tell one story that may or may not be true about Cody Bellinger and Giancarlo Stanton. And, I guess Giancarlo's ex is now the girlfriend of the wife of Cody Bellinger. And Scott in California was like, yeah, I don't got time for that. I'm going to drop this call like Justin Jefferson dropped that football last night. Sorry, Jay Jettis. I'm like the biggest fan of Justin Jefferson. We dap each other up at the Super Bowl. He came right on the show the day after he got drafted, said all those teams are going to pay. But I was annoyed. I'm a little bit annoyed, Stu, because I had a really good team and I'm out of my fantasy football playoffs because Cooper Kupp was a no-show Saquon Barkley only had 8.4 points, and Justin Jefferson gave me 16.80, but I needed to get 10 more points out of him last night, and that touchdown would have got me very, very, very close, but it didn't happen. So I'm out of the fantasy football playoffs. But nobody cares about my fantasy team, and I don't expect any sympathy. Maybe I'll do a 3-hour show on it to get that sympathy, potentially. But big thanks to Brian Dawkins. Big thanks to Kobe Wilson as well. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. Don't go anywhere. JR coming up next. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.